A soul of absolute control, a puppet master of destiny, reborn in the body of a pariah. Forget the hero you knew. This is a Naruto not seeking recognition, but domination. Witness the Leaf Village tremble as the heavenly Yaksha pulls the strings of the ninja world from the shadows.
The moon hung low over Konoha, casting silver light across the stone faces of the Hokage monument. Atop the fourth Hokage's head, his father's face, though that meant nothing to him now, stood Naruto Uzumaki, and he was nothing like the child this village had tried to break. A pink feather coat billowed around his frame, each movement deliberate and theatrical. Crimson-tinted sunglasses caught the moonlight, reflecting it back at the gathering crowd of shinobi below. His blonde hair whipped in the wind as he stood with arms spread wide, a king surveying a kingdom he was about to abandon. Phew! His distinctive laugh echoed across the village, chilling and theatrical. What a pathetic sight. The great hidden leaf scrambling like ants when the boot hovers above. Below, Anbu forces had surrounded the monument. Kakashi Hatake stood at the front, his single visible eye wide with disbelief. Behind him, Iruka, Sakura, and what remained of the Konoha 11 watched the boy they thought they knew. "Naruto!" Kakashi called up. "What are you doing? Come down from there. We can talk about this." The figure atop the monument tilted his head, the gesture somehow condescending despite the distance. Invisible strings, threads of pure chakra only he could create, extended from his fingertips, dancing in the air like silk caught in water. "Talk?" Naruto's voice carried across the silent village. "How very democratic of you, Kakashi-sensei. But you see, I've already decided. Tonight, I leave this village of hypocrites and liars. Tonight, the heavenly demon spreads his wings." "Heavenly demon?" Sakura whispered, her voice trembling. "What happened to you?" Naruto's grin widened, visible even from this distance. "What happened? Perhaps I simply woke up. Perhaps I finally understood the fundamental truth of this world." He paused, savoring the moment. Those who stand at the top determine what's wrong and what's right. This very place is neutral ground. Justice will prevail? Of course it will, because the winners will become justice. Kakashi's hand moved to his headband, ready to reveal his Sharingan. "If you won't come down willingly, 5 color strings." The attack came without warning. 5 razor-sharp threads shot from Naruto's hand, each one coated in what appeared to be black chakra, though those who could sense it felt something different, something foreign yet incredibly powerful. The strings sliced through the air with devastating speed. Kakashi barely dodged, the threads cutting through the ground where he'd stood, leaving deep gouges in the earth. The other shinobi scattered as more strings followed, each movement precise and deadly. Those aren't chakra strings like puppeteers use," Shikamaru observed, his analytical mind racing. "There's something else entirely. The way they move, the way they cut, this is something new." Naruto descended from the monument, not by jumping but by creating strings that lowered him gently, gracefully. When his feet touched the ground, the pink coat settled around him like a throne draped in fabric. "Observant as always, Shikamaru, but you're only seeing the surface." Naruto's fingers twitched, and suddenly dozens of nearly invisible threads spread across the plaza like a spider's web. "These strings are my natural ability, not a jutsu, not a Kekkei Genkai in the traditional sense. They're simply mine." An Anbu operative rushed him from behind, sword raised. Naruto didn't even turn. "Parasite!" Strings shot from his hand, wrapping around the Anbu's limbs. The operative froze mid-strike, body rigid as the thread seized control. Naruto's fingers moved like a puppeteer, and the Anbu's sword arm turned, nearly striking his own throat before Kakashi intervened, cutting the strings with a lightning-enhanced kunai. "Fu, good reflexes, sensei, but how many can you save?" More Anbu attacked from multiple angles. Naruto's response was swift and brutal. "Bullet string!" He thrust his palm forward, and threads condensed into impossibly compressed bullets of string that shot through the air faster than most could track. They struck with devastating force, punching through armor and sending shinobi flying backward. None died. Naruto had deliberately aimed to incapacitate, but the message was clear. "You're holding back," Guy observed, having arrived at the scene. "Why?" Naruto's grin didn't fade, because unlike the village that raised me, I have standards. I don't kill the weak just for existing. But make no mistake, his fingers splayed wide and the black coating on his strings intensified. Challenge me, and I'll show you the difference between us. Kakashi Sharingan spun, copying the movements, trying to understand. What is that black coating? It's not chakra. Armament haki, Naruto said simply. One of 3 abilities I possess that none of you can hope to replicate. It's not chakra, not natural energy, not anything you know. It's willpower made manifest, the ability to strike harder, defend better, and touch even the intangible. He held up his hand, the strings now coated entirely in the black substance. And before you ask, yes, I'm the only one who has it, the only one who ever will. The claim sounded arrogant, but something in his voice made them believe it. Why are you leaving? Iruka stepped forward, his voice breaking. Naruto, whatever happened, whatever made you like this, we can fix it. You don't have to do this. For the first time, something flickered across Naruto's face. Not quite pain, but a distant cousin of it. A memory surfacing. Fix it? His laugh was darker now, less theatrical. You want to fix it, Iruka-sensei? Then tell me, can you bring back the dead? Can you undo betrayal? Can you make a child forget the day he learned that everything he believed was a lie? The crowd shifted uncomfortably. They knew about the Nine Tails, about the isolation Naruto had faced, but this seemed deeper. What are you talking about? Sakura asked. Naruto's smile turned sharp. Oh, you don't know? How delightful. The great Konoha, masters of information control. Let me enlighten you all. 8 years ago, on Naruto's 6th birthday, the truth had come like a blade in the dark. He'd found them by accident, or perhaps by fate. In the archives beneath the Hokage Tower, a place he'd snuck into looking for evidence of his parents, he'd found something far worse. Documents, reports, signed orders. The Uzumaki clan, his mother's people, had been destroyed. Not by enemy villages, not by natural disaster, but by calculated political maneuvering. Konoha, Kumo, Iwa, and Kiri had all played their parts, either directly or through deliberate inaction. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the report dated 6 years after the clan's destruction. The one that detailed how survivors, refugees who'd fled to Konoha seeking protection, had been quietly disappeared by root operatives. Danzo's signature at the bottom, the 3rd Hokage's stamp of approval beside it. Men, women, children, his family, eliminated because they were security risks, because the Uzumaki bloodline was too powerful, too unpredictable. They'd let his mother's entire clan die, then killed the survivors who came for help. And Naruto, the last Uzumaki, the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails, had been kept ignorant, isolated, beaten down. A weapon to be controlled. That night, something broke inside him. Or perhaps something awakened. The pain was so intense that reality itself seemed to crack. His chakra exploded outward, but it was different now. Threads, thin as spider silk but strong as steel, burst from his hands, shredding the archives, cutting through stone. And in that moment of agony and rage, he felt it. 3 distinct powers stirring within him, separate from his chakra, but intertwined with his very soul. Armament haki, the ability to harden his body and weapons with sheer willpower. Observation haki, the power to sense intent, emotion, and attacks before they landed. Conqueror's haki, the king's disposition, the power to impose his will upon reality itself. He'd stumbled from the archives, strings cutting through anything in his path, his 6-year-old mind trying to process powers that shouldn't exist. The Anbu who tried to stop him found themselves paralyzed by an invisible force, his conqueror's haki manifesting unconsciously. Hiruzen Sarutobi had found him in the training grounds, surrounded by destruction, strings dancing around his small form like serpents. Naruto, the old man had said gently. Let me explain. You killed them. The boy's voice was raw. My family came here for help, huh? And you killed them. It was more complicated than overheat. The string whip had formed instinctively, coated in the black haki he didn't yet understand. It carved a trench in the earth between them, missing the Hokage by inches only because the boy's control wavered. Hiruzen's eyes had widened. That power? What are you? I'm an Uzumaki, Naruto had whispered, tears streaming down his face. The last one, because you made sure of it. He'd fled that night, disappearing into the forest of death. For 3 months, he lived like an animal, learning to control his new abilities through necessity. The strings responded to his will, growing stronger with each passing day. The haki refined itself through combat with the forest predators. When he finally returned to the village, he was different, colder, more controlled. He attended the academy, played the fool, but inside he was planning, learning, growing stronger. He studied every scroll he could find on the Uzumaki clan, learned about Uzushiogakure, the village hidden in whirlpools, his mother's home, reduced to ruins by the combined assault of villages that feared their sealing techniques. He learned about Kushina Uzumaki, his mother, how she'd been brought to Konoha not as a refugee, but as a replacement Jinchuriki, a vessel, a weapon. His father, Minato Namikaze, had loved her. The record suggested genuine affection. But he'd still sealed the Nine Tails in their newborn son, still condemned Naruto to a life of hatred and isolation. Love, Naruto learned, was just another word for control. Over the years, he refined his abilities. The strings grew more versatile. He discovered he could create clones made entirely of strings, Black Knights, he called them, that could fight independently. He learned to coat his strings in armament haki, making them sharp enough to cut through anything. His observation haki developed to the point where he could sense hostile intent from across the village. His conqueror's haki, the rarest of the three, manifested in moments of intense will, a force that could knock unconscious anyone with weak resolve. He became a genin, was placed on Team 7 with Sakura and Sasuke, played the role of the loudmouth fool while secretly growing stronger than any of them could imagine. The mission to Wave Country had been the turning point. Watching Zabuza and Haku, outcasts and criminals, care more for each other than Konoha had ever cared for him. Seeing Inari's grandfather risk everything for his family, that's when Naruto truly understood. The world didn't operate on justice or righteousness. It operated on power. Those with strength made the rules. Those without suffered under them. During the Chunin exams, he'd fought Neji with only a fraction of his true ability, maintaining his cover. But when Orochimaru invaded, when the third Hokage died fighting his former student, Naruto felt nothing. The old man who'd signed the death warrants for his family was gone. Good riddance. The months that followed were frustrating. Tsunade became Hokage, and for a brief moment, Naruto wondered if things might change. She was Kushina's friend after all. Surely she'd tell him the truth. But she didn't. More lies, more manipulation, more "it's for your own good, Naruto." When Jiraiya took him on a training trip, Naruto went along, learning everything he could from the Toad Sage. Rasengan, summoning jutsu, chakra control, all useful additions to his arsenal. But Jiraiya, too, kept secrets, talked around the truth about his parents, about the Uzumaki clan, 3 years of training, growing stronger, refining his abilities. 3 years of playing the role of the determined but slightly dim student. When they returned to Konoha for this mission, Naruto had finally decided. Enough, he was done pretending. Done hiding, done being Konoha's weapon. It was time to build his own throne. Back in the present, Naruto's eyes swept across the assembled shinobi. You want to know what made me like this? This village did. Every lie, every secret, every betrayal. You created the heavenly demon. Now you get to watch him leave. Tsunade pushed through the crowd, her face a mixture of anger and regret. Naruto, I understand you're angry. Angry? His laugh cut her off. Anger is such a small word for what I feel, Tsunade Hime. Anger passes. What I have is clarity, understanding. I finally grasped the truth of this world. He spread his arms wide, the pink coat flaring dramatically. Shinobi are evil? The villages are righteous? These terms have always changed throughout history. Kids who have never seen peace and kids who have never seen war have different values. Those who stand at the top determine what's wrong and what's right. Sasuke stepped forward, Sharingan spinning. Big words from a dead last. You think you're special because you learned a new trick? Naruto's grin widened. Sasuke, still chasing power, I see. Still trying to kill Itachi, restore your clan, prove yourself. How very predictable. Don't talk about things you don't understand. But I do understand, better than you think. Naruto's voice dropped, losing its theatrical edge. We're not so different, you and I. Both of us had our families destroyed. Both of us were left alone. The difference is that I accepted reality while you cling to delusions of revenge. Shut up, Sasuke charged, Chidori crackling in his palm. Naruto sighed. Observation haki. He tilted his head slightly, and Sasuke's lightning-coated thrust missed by a hair's breadth. Before the Uchiha could recover, strings wrapped around his wrist, yanking him off balance. "You're fast, Sasuke. Your Sharingan reads movements well, but my observation haki doesn't just see movement, it senses intent. I knew you'd attack before you even formed the Chidori." Naruto flung him backward with casual strength. Sasuke skidded across the ground, and Sakura rushed to his side. "You've gotten stronger," Kakashi observed, his visible eye narrowed. "Much stronger than you showed during training. How long have you been hiding this?" "Since I was 6, Naruto said simply. "The day I found the truth about my family, the day these powers awakened." He held up his hand, strings dancing between his fingers like living things. "You see, the Uzumaki weren't just masters of sealing. They had bloodline abilities that went beyond what most understood. My mother never awakened hers. She died too young, but I did." It was a lie, of course. These powers weren't from his bloodline at all. They were something else, something that didn't fit into this world's logic. But the shinobi watching didn't need to know that. Let them think it was a Kekkei Genkai. Better than the truth, that he didn't fully understand where these abilities came from either. What he did know was that they were his. As natural as breathing. "If you're so powerful," Guy called out, "why hide it? Why pretend to be weak all these years?" Because weak people are overlooked, underestimated. They're not seen as threats until it's too late. Naruto's grin turned sharp. "And now that I'm ready to leave, what can you do? Stop me? You're welcome to try." The challenge hung in the air like a blade. Kakashi raised his hand, signaling the Anbu to hold position. "Where will you go?" "Uzushiogakure," Naruto said without hesitation. "The ruins of my mother's village. I'm going to rebuild it, make it into something this world has never seen, a place where power is the only rule that matters." "You'll start a war," Tsunade said flatly. "The moment you try to establish a new village, every nation will see it as a threat. Let them." Naruto's strings began to spread wider, creating an elaborate web around him. "I welcome the challenge. In fact, I'm counting on it. Nothing sharpens the blade like war." "You're insane," Sakura whispered. "No, I'm honest. This world runs on violence and power. I'm simply acknowledging it instead of hiding behind platitudes about peace and protection." He looked directly at her. "Tell me, Sakura, has Konoha ever achieved lasting peace through kindness? Or do your periods of tranquility come from being strong enough that enemies fear to attack?" She had no answer. Shikamaru stepped forward, hands already forming signs. "Naruto, think about this logically. Even if you're as strong as you claim, you can't build a village alone. You'll need allies, resources, protection. This is troublesome?" Naruto finished, using Shikamaru's favorite word. "Oh, I'm counting on it being troublesome. That's what makes it interesting. As for allies..." His grin widened. "I'll recruit them the old-fashioned way, by proving I'm stronger." More Anbu were arriving, surrounding the plaza. Naruto could sense their positions with his observation haki. 37 in total, plus the Konoha shinobi in front of him. "Last chance," Tsunade said, cracking her knuckles. "Stand down, and we'll talk about this. Officially. Like adults." Naruto's laugh echoed across the village. "Fu-fu-fu-fu! Adults? You mean like the adults who slaughtered my family? Like the adults who turned me into a pariah? Like the adults who've lied to me every day of my life?" He shook his head. "I think I'll pass. Then you leave us no choice." Tsunade slammed her fist into the ground, and the earth erupted upward in a massive shockwave. Naruto didn't move, didn't dodge. Armament haki. His entire body turned black, the haki coating him like armor. The shockwave hit him and dispersed, leaving him completely unharmed. He stood in a crater, pink coat billowing, not even dust on his sunglasses. "Impossible," someone whispered. "Nothing's impossible when you have power." Naruto's fingers moved, and suddenly strings shot from the ground all around the plaza. He'd been weaving them underground this entire time. Spider's web. The strings formed a massive dome, trapping everyone inside. Anbu tried to cut through but found the threads coated in armament haki, harder than steel. "Now then," Naruto said pleasantly, "since you're all here, let me demonstrate exactly why stopping me is futile. Consider this a farewell gift, a lesson in true power." Kakashi pulled down his headband, Sharingan exposed. "Everyone, stay alert. Don't underestimate him." "Too late. Parasite." Strings shot from Naruto's hands in every direction, each one seeking a target. Several Anbu found themselves frozen, bodies controlled by the threads. Naruto's fingers danced, and the controlled shinobi turned on their comrades. "Stop!" one Anbu shouted, struggling against the strings. I can't control my body." "Of course you can't," Naruto said. "These strings don't just manipulate your limbs, they override your nervous system. You're puppets, and I'm the puppet master." Guy moved with incredible speed, breaking through the controlled Anbu to attack Naruto directly. Dynamic entry! The kick would have shattered bones. Naruto caught it with one hand, armament haki coating his palm. Impressive speed, Guy-sensei, but not enough. He twisted, using Guy's momentum to throw him into a group of Anbu. Before Guy could recover, strings wrapped around his limbs. "Even you," Naruto said, "with your taijutsu mastery can't break free. The strings are too strong, coated in haki, that makes them harder than any metal you know." Lee tried to help his sensei, but more strings caught him mid-leap. One by one, the shinobi of Konoha found themselves trapped, controlled, or simply too wary to attack after seeing their comrades fall. Sasuke activated his Sharingan to its fullest, trying to track the strings. "I can see them, but they're too fast, too many." "Your Sharingan is useless here," Naruto told him. "It can copy jutsu, predict movement, but these strings aren't jutsu, they're a natural ability, and my observation haki lets me sense your intent before you even move. We're operating on different levels, Sasuke." Neji activated his Byakugan, seeing the chakra flow in the strings. "The threads are made of pure chakra, but the coating is something else, something my Byakugan can't identify." "That's because it's not chakra," Naruto explained patiently, as if teaching a class. "Haki exists outside your understanding of chakra and natural energy. It's willpower made manifest. You can't copy it, can't learn it, can't defend against it unless you have it yourself." He raised his hand, and the controlled shinobi collapsed as he released the strings. "But enough demonstrations. I'm not here to kill you all, just to leave." "Black Knight!" A clone made entirely of strings formed beside him, identical to Naruto in every way, but moving with independent thought. Then another appeared, and another. Soon, 10 perfect duplicates stood around him, each one capable of using his full range of abilities. "These aren't shadow clones," Shikamaru observed, mind racing. "They don't have the same chakra signature? They're pure constructs?" "Very good. Black Knights are string-based doubles that can act independently. Unlike shadow clones, they don't disappear from a single hit. They have to be completely destroyed." Naruto gestured, and the Black Knights spread out, creating more strings to reinforce the dome. "They'll keep you busy while I make my exit." Tsunade charged forward, fist glowing with chakra. "I won't let you leave. Overheat." Naruto's arm transformed into a massive whip of string, coated in armament haki and wreathed in flames from friction. The whip carved through the air with devastating force. Tsunade barely dodged, but the attack left a massive trench in the ground, a scar that stretched across the entire plaza. That power! Kakashi's mind raced, Sharingan spinning uselessly as it tried to copy something it couldn't comprehend. It's not just the strings. The way he moves, the confidence. He's fought before. Seriously fought. When? Where? "During my travels with Jiraiya," Naruto said, reading the question on his face. "While the old pervert was researching his books, I was finding fights. Bandits, missing nin, entire gangs. Each one made me stronger. Each battle refined my control." It was true, though not the whole truth. The real refinement had come in the forest of death when he was 6, fighting for his life against beasts that should have killed him. The training with Jiraiya had just been polish. "Enough talk!" Tsunade roared, using her strength to rip up a massive chunk of earth and hurl it at Naruto. "Ever white!" Naruto's hand shot forward, and a thick rope of string coated in armament haki shot out, piercing straight through the boulder and dispersing it into rubble. The string continued forward, forcing Tsunade to dodge. "You're strong, Tsunade Hime. Your super strength is impressive, but raw power means nothing without the ability to land a hit." Naruto's observation haki flared, and he sidestepped an Anbu attack from behind without looking. "And I can sense every attack before it happens." He was enjoying this. The thrill of battle, the shock on their faces as they realized how outmatched they were. This was what he lived for, the moment when strength demonstrated its superiority over numbers, when the weak understood their place. Foo. Is this really the best Konoha can offer? I expected more from the village that defeated the Nine Tails. You want more? A new voice cut through the chaos. Jiraiya landed in the plaza, Sage Mode activated, Toad features visible. Then let me show you what I taught you and what I kept from you. Naruto's grin widened. Jiraiya-sensei! Now this might be interesting. Come then, show me the power of the legendary Sannin. Jiraiya's face was grim. I don't want to fight you, Naruto. Whatever happened, whatever you learned, we can fix this. You don't have to become a monster. Monster? Naruto's laugh was genuine. I'm not the monster, Sensei. I'm just the first person honest enough to admit what this world really is. You talk about peace while training weapons. You speak of protecting the village while sacrificing children. At least I'm honest about my nature. Sage Art, massive Rasengan. Jiraiya moved with incredible speed, a Rasengan the size of a boulder forming in his palm. The attack came from an unexpected angle. Even Naruto's observation haki barely gave him time to react. Armament haki! He caught the Rasengan with both hands, haki-coated palms stopping the spinning sphere. The force pushed him backward, feet digging trenches in the ground, but he didn't fall. Impressive! Naruto laughed, genuinely delighted. Sage Mode enhances your speed and strength significantly. Finally, a real challenge! He twisted his hands and strings wrapped around the Rasengan, compressing it, containing it. Then he threw it back. Jiraiya barely managed to disperse his own technique before it struck him. His eyes widened. You shouldn't be able to do that. The Rasengan can't be caught, can't be controlled. Naruto's strings danced around him. Nothing is impossible with the right application of power. Your Rasengan is just spinning chakra. My strings can manipulate chakra. Simple mathematics. He thrust both hands forward. Bullet string. Compressed bullets of string shot from his palms, each one coated in armament haki. Jiraiya dodged with Sage Mode reflexes, but several still grazed him, drawing blood. That coating? Jiraiya observed. It's not chakra. What is it? The power you couldn't teach me because you don't possess it, Naruto said. The power that makes me unique in this world. Armament haki, the ability to harden my attacks and defenses beyond anything chakra can achieve. He vanished and reappeared behind Jiraiya, strings already wrapping around the Sannin's limbs. And observation haki, the power to sense your every move before you make it. Jiraiya burst into smoke, a clone. The real one appeared above, hand signs already complete. Sage Art, Gomon. A massive stream of oil, fire, and wind chakra descended like a waterfall, turning the air itself into an inferno. Naruto stood in the center of the conflagration, strings creating a dome around him. The Black Knights moved to intercept, but the flames consumed them, though they immediately began reforming from the remaining strings. When the flames cleared, Naruto stood untouched, pink coat unmarred. Excellent technique. The combination of oil, fire, and wind creates temperatures that should incinerate anything. But he held up his hand, completely black with armament haki. When your defense is strong enough, even the hottest flames can't touch you. Jiraiya landed, breathing hard. Sage Mode was powerful but taxing. How long have you had these abilities? Since I was 6, since the day I learned what Konoha did to my family. Naruto's voice lost its playful edge. Since the day I found the archives and read about the Uzumaki refugees you murdered. The plaza went silent. Even the fighting stopped. You knew? Jiraiya's face paled. I knew. I've known for years. Every smile, every lesson, every moment of guidance. I knew the whole time that you were complicit in my family's destruction. Naruto's strings began to spread wider, faster, more aggressive. Did you think I was really that dense? That foolish? It was an act. All of it. Tsunade stepped forward, her voice shaking. Naruto, the Uzumaki refugees, that was Danzo. Root acted without authorization. When Hiruzen found out, he did nothing. Naruto's shout echoed across the village. He knew, and he did nothing. He signed off on it afterward, made it official, buried it in classified documents. The great third Hokage, protector of Konoha, let my family die. For the first time, raw emotion cracked through his theatrical demeanor. The strings around him writhed like serpents, responding to his anger. They came here for help. Children, mothers, fathers, survivors of a massacre that this village helped orchestrate. And Konoha killed them because they were inconvenient. It wasn't that simple, Kakashi began. Conqueror's haki. The words were quiet, but the effect was instantaneous. An invisible wave of pure willpower exploded from Naruto, and dozens of Anbu simply collapsed unconscious. Even the stronger shinobi stumbled, feeling the weight of his presence pressing down on them like a physical force. "Don't tell me it wasn't simple," Naruto said, his voice deadly calm. "Don't make excuses. Don't try to justify it. You made a choice. The village made a choice, and I'm making mine." He looked around at the shinobi still standing, those with strong enough wills to resist his conqueror's haki. Tsunade, Jiraiya, Kakashi, Guy, and a handful of others. This is the difference between us. I don't hide behind ideals or justifications. I don't pretend my choices are righteous. I simply acknowledge reality. The strong rule, the weak serve, and power is the only truth that matters. Jiraiya's face was heavy with regret. "Is that really what you believe? After everything you lied to me about?" Naruto interrupted. "Yes, that's what I believe, and I'm done with this village." He raised his hand high, strings gathering at his fingertips. The remaining Black Knights moved to his sides, mirroring his stance. "I'm going to give you all one last demonstration. Consider it a graduation present, a showing of the technique I've been developing. My ultimate ability." The strings began to rise, extending upward into the night sky. Higher and higher they climbed, forming a massive cage that spread across the entire village. Bird cage. The technique activated fully. Countless razor-sharp strings descended from above, creating a dome of death that encompassed all of Konoha. The strings were so thin they were nearly invisible, but where they touched buildings, they sliced through stone like butter. Panic erupted throughout the village as civilians noticed the cage. Shinobi tried to cut the strings, but armament haki made them indestructible to anyone without the same ability. "What is this?" Tsunade demanded. "A demonstration," Naruto said calmly. "The bird cage is my masterpiece, a cage of strings that can seal an entire area. The strings slowly contract, cutting through everything in their path. Buildings, people, chakra barriers, nothing can stop them except my will." He gestured, and the strings stopped contracting. "Relax, I'm not going to kill you all. That would be wasteful. But I want you to understand something." His voice carried across the village, amplified by strategic placement of strings that acted like speakers. "This is my power. If I wanted, I could reduce Konoha to rubble. But I don't, because unlike the village that raised me, I don't kill just because I can." He lowered his hand, and the bird cage began to retract, the strings disappearing like they were never there. "I'm leaving. I'm going to rebuild Uzushiogakure, and if anyone tries to stop me, if any village sends forces to attack me, I'll show them what real destruction looks like." Naruto turned to face the assembled shinobi one last time. "The victor needs no explanation, while the loser has none that matter. Remember that. Remember this night. Remember that the boy you tried to break became something you can't control." "Naruto," Iruka called out, tears streaming down his face. "Please. You were my student, my friend. Don't do this." For a moment, just a fleeting second, something human flickered in Naruto's eyes. Then it was gone, replaced by the theatrical grin. "Your student died in the archives 8 years ago, Iruka-sensei. I'm what emerged from the ashes." He raised his hand in a mocking salute. "Thank you for the lessons. They were useful." Strings wrapped around him, forming a sphere. When it dispersed, Naruto was gone, vanished into the night. The shinobi of Konoha stood in the ruined plaza, staring at the destruction he'd left behind. Trenches carved by his whips, broken buildings from the birdcage's brief activation, unconscious Anbu scattered everywhere. Tsunade's fist clenched. "Send word to the other villages. We have a situation." But even as she gave orders, she knew it was too late. Whatever Naruto had become, whatever he planned, Konoha had created it. And now they would all pay the price. 3 days later, Naruto stood on the shore of the Land of Whirlpools, looking across the water at the ruins of Uzushiogakure. The island was exactly as the records described. Destroyed buildings, overgrown vegetation, the remnants of a once great civilization. But to Naruto, it was perfect. A blank slate. A kingdom waiting for its king. He stepped onto the water, strings extending from his feet, to walk across the surface without using chakra. As he approached the main island, his observation haki flared. Someone was here. Multiple someones, Naruto grinned. "How wonderful. It seems I have unwanted guests." He landed on the island's shore and immediately sensed them. 15 shinobi, all with significant chakra reserves. Missing nin, judging by their mixed village affiliations, his observation haki detected. They emerged from the ruins, weapons drawn. Their leader, a massive man with a cleaver-sized sword, stepped forward. Well, what do we have here? A kid in a pink coat thinking he can waltz into our territory? Naruto's laugh echoed across the ruins. Fu. Your territory? How amusing. This island belongs to the Uzumaki clan. Since I'm the last Uzumaki, that makes it mine. The Uzumaki are dead. Another missing nin spat. This island's been our hideout for 3 years. You want it? You'll have to take it from our corpses. That can be arranged, Naruto said pleasantly. But first, let me make you an offer. Join me. Become part of something greater than hiding in ruins like rats. I'm rebuilding Uzushiogakure, and I need soldiers. Join you? The leader laughed. Kid, I was a jonin from Kumo before I went missing. You're what, 14? What could you possibly? 5 color strings. The attack came too fast to dodge. 5 haki-coated strings shot from Naruto's hand, and the leader's sword shattered like glass. The threads continued, slicing through his armor and drawing 5 perfect lines of blood across his chest. The man stumbled backward, eyes wide with shock. What the? I'm giving you one chance, Naruto said, his voice losing all warmth. Join me willingly, or I'll beat you into submission, and you'll join me anyway. Your choice. 3 of the missing nin charged simultaneously. Different directions, coordinated attack. Parasite! Strings wrapped around all 3, stopping them mid-stride. Naruto's fingers moved, and the controlled shinobi turned their weapons on their companions. Stop! One of them shouted. My body! It's moving on its own! Yes, that's what Parasite does, Naruto explained calmly. It overrides your nervous system. You become my puppet. Now then, shall we continue this negotiation? The remaining missing nin exchanged glances. They were hardened criminals, killers all, but something in this boy's casual dominance made them hesitate. You're serious, the leader said, clutching his bleeding chest. You really think you can rebuild an entire village? I don't think. I know. Naruto released the parasite strings, and the controlled shinobi collapsed. I have power beyond anything you've seen. I have knowledge of Uzumaki sealing techniques. And most importantly, I have ambition. The question is, do you want to be part of something historic, or would you rather remain as forgotten criminals hiding in ruins? One of the missing nin, a woman with Kiri features, laughed bitterly. You talk big, kid. But even if you're strong, building a village takes more than power. It takes resources, allies, legitimacy. All of which I'll acquire, Naruto interrupted. One way or another. Now, I'm tired of talking. Time to show you exactly why resistance is futile. He spread his arms wide, and suddenly the entire area filled with strings. They emerged from the ground, from the ruins, from the very air itself, a web so dense it seemed to block out the sun. Spider's web, combined with parasite. Every single missing nin found themselves trapped, controlled. Naruto's fingers danced, and they moved like marionettes, drawing weapons, forming hand signs, moving in perfect synchronization despite their desperate attempts to resist. You see, Naruto said, making them perform an elaborate dance of combat forms. I don't need your permission. I could make you my puppets permanently if I wanted, but I prefer willing followers. They fight better, think more creatively. He released them again, and they collapsed, exhausted from fighting against his control. Last chance, Naruto said. Join me, and you'll be part of the village that will reshape this world. Refuse, and I'll leave you here as broken failures. The leader pulled himself to his feet, studying Naruto with new eyes. You're not just strong, you're a monster. Thank you, Naruto grinned. I prefer heavenly demon, but monster works too. So, what's your answer? Slowly, one by one, the missing nin knelt. They had no choice, not really. This boy had demonstrated power that made jonin look like academy students. Whatever he was planning, being part of it was better than opposing it. Good choice, Naruto said, pleased. Welcome to the foundation of the new Uzushiogakure. You're my first soldiers. Treat that honor appropriately. He turned to survey the ruins, mind already planning. First, we clear the rubble and establish a base camp. Then we begin recruitment, not criminals this time, but skilled shinobi who understand that power is the only law that matters. The woman from Kiri spoke up hesitantly. How do you plan to recruit skilled shinobi? Most won't join a missing nin village led by a kid. Naruto's grin was sharp as glass. Simple. I'll challenge them to combat, beat them so thoroughly they understand the difference in our strength, then offer them a choice, join or die. Most will choose to join. That's insane. No, that's efficient. The strong will respect strength demonstrated. The weak will follow out of fear. Either way, I get loyal soldiers. He looked back at them. You 15 will help me recruit. Consider it your initiation. Over the next 2 weeks, Naruto led his growing band across the land of whirlpools and neighboring territories. Each encounter followed the same pattern. They'd find a target, a powerful missing nin, a disillusioned chunin, a mercenary group. Naruto would challenge the strongest to single combat, and without fail, he'd dominate. Against a former Awa Jonin specializing in earth release, Naruto had used overheat to carve through stone defenses like paper, then trapped the man in strings before he could react. Against a group of 7 mercenaries, he'd created black knights that fought with perfect coordination, overwhelming them through sheer numbers and identical skill. Against a rogue swordsman from Kiri's 7 Swordsman program, Naruto had coated his strings in armament haki and shattered the man's legendary blade with a single bullet string attack. Each victory added to his reputation. Each defeated opponent joined his ranks, some out of respect, others from fear, all of them understanding that Naruto Uzumaki was unlike any shinobi they'd encountered. By the end of the month, 43 shinobi called him leader. Not all were exceptional. Some were chunin level at best, but each brought skills useful for rebuilding a village. Naruto stood before them in the cleared central plaza of Uzushigakure's ruins, pink coat billowing in the sea breeze. You've all proven your worth by surviving your initiation. Now begins the real work, transforming these ruins into a village that will make the 5 great nations tremble. He raised his hand, and strings spread across the ruins, mapping out the destruction with geometric precision. We'll rebuild in stages. First, living quarters and a defensive wall. Second, training facilities and storage. Third, administrative buildings and research labs for sealing techniques. What about farms, water systems, trade routes? Asked one of the former Iwa shinobi. Farms will be established on the outer islands. Water we have in abundance from the sea will adapt Kiri's desalination techniques. Trade routes. Naruto's grin widened. We'll establish those through strength. Villages will trade with us because refusing would be too costly. Over the following weeks, Uzushigakure began to transform. The shinobi worked in shifts, clearing rubble, salvaging materials, constructing basic shelters. Naruto himself labored alongside them, using his strings to lift massive stones and clear debris faster than any 10 men could manage. At night, he studied the Uzumaki clan scrolls he'd found in Konoha's archives, sealing techniques that could trap tailed beasts, barriers that could protect entire cities, summoning methods that predated the current system, his mother's legacy preserved in ink and paper. Fufu, he laughed softly, reading a particularly complex seal. They feared the Uzumaki because of this knowledge, because we could seal anything, bind anything, protect anything. And they were right to fear us. 2 months after his departure from Konoha, a messenger arrived, a young chunin from Taki who'd heard rumors of the heavenly demon. Naruto Uzumaki, the messenger said nervously, kneeling before Naruto's makeshift throne of salvaged stone. I bring word from my village. Akatsuki has made a move. They've captured the Seven Tails Jinchuriki. Naruto's eyes narrowed behind his sunglasses. Akatsuki, the organization hunting tailed beasts. He'd known about them from Jiraiya's intelligence, but hearing they'd actually succeeded in capturing one. Tell me everything. The messenger relayed what little information Taki had. A coordinated assault by multiple Akatsuki members, overwhelming power, the Jinchuriki taken without a chance to resist. When the messenger finished, Naruto dismissed him with a wave. Return to your village. Tell your leader that the Uzumaki clan has risen again. If Taki wishes to form an alliance, they know where to find me. Alone in his throne room, really just a cleared building with minimal furniture, Naruto considered the implications. Akatsuki was accelerating their plans, which meant they'd come for the Nine Tails eventually. Let them come. He'd been a Jinchuriki all his life without accessing the beast's power, relying instead on his natural abilities in haki. But perhaps it was time to change that dynamic. Kurama, he said aloud, reaching inward to the seal that bound the nine tails. I know you can hear me. For years, he'd ignored the fox, refused to visit the seal, refused to draw on its chakra. But the beast had always been there, a presence at the back of his mind. Now Naruto's consciousness sank into the seal's space. The massive cage came into view, and behind the bars, two enormous red eyes opened. The nine tails, Kurama, regarded him with ancient malevolence. Well, well, the fox's voice rumbled like an avalanche. The warden finally deigns to visit. What do you want, boy? Naruto stood before the cage without fear. His conqueror's haki flared unconsciously, and he saw Kurama's eyes narrow in recognition. That power, Naruto said, gesturing at the fox. I've never used it, never drawn on your chakra. But things are changing. Akatsuki is hunting tailed beasts, which means they'll come for you eventually. And you think I'll help you? After your village used me as a weapon? After your father sealed me in a helpless infant? Kurama's laugh was bitter. You're as delusional as all the others. I don't want your help out of loyalty, Naruto said flatly. I want access to your power because it's mine by right. You're sealed in me. Your chakra is mine to use. I'm simply being polite by asking. Polite? You're threatening me. Yes. Naruto's grin was sharp. Because unlike the previous Jinchuriki, I have power you don't. You felt it. The haki that you can't explain, that doesn't fit into your understanding of chakra. You know I'm different. Kurama was silent for a long moment. You're not like Kushina or Mito before her. They saw me as a burden to bear. You see me as a tool to use. Because that's what you are, what we both are. Naruto stepped closer to the cage. I was made into the Nine Tails Jinchuriki to be Konoha's weapon. You were sealed to be Konoha's deterrent. We're both tools in someone else's game. And you think that makes us allies? No, but it means we have common enemies. Naruto's voice was cold. Akatsuki wants to extract you, which kills me. Konoha wants me back, which imprisons you. The other villages want both of us destroyed. Our interests align. The fox studied him with those ancient eyes. You want to use my power. What do I get in return? Freedom, Naruto said simply. When I'm strong enough, I'll break this seal. You'll be free to do as you wish, as long as you swear not to attack Uzushiogakure or my people. You'd free me? Just like that? Why not? Keeping you sealed serves no purpose for me. I have my own power. Your chakra would be useful, but it's not essential. He shrugged. But that freedom comes with a price. You help me until then. Lend me your chakra when needed. Fight alongside me against Akatsuki. Kurama's laugh rumbled through the seal space. You're insane. You realize freeing me would make every village hunt you? They're already hunting me. What's one more reason? Naruto's grin widened. Besides, imagine their faces when the Nine Tails walks free, and instead of rampaging, it stands beside me by choice. The psychological impact alone would be worth it. You think big, I'll give you that. The fox leaned closer to the bars. Fine, I'll lend you my chakra, not because I trust you, but because you're the first Jinchuriki honest enough to admit what you are, a weapon wielding another weapon. Glad we understand each other. Naruto turned to leave, then paused. One more thing. Do you know anything about my abilities? The strings? The haki? Did my mother or grandmother have them? No. Those powers are yours alone. They appeared when you first accessed this seal space as a child, the night you learned about your family. Kurama's tone was thoughtful. I've existed for centuries, and I've never seen abilities like yours. They don't belong to this world. But they're mine now, Naruto said, and that's all that matters. He withdrew from the seal space, returning to his physical body. The throne room hadn't changed, but Naruto felt different. Access to the Nine Tails chakra would accelerate his plans significantly. A knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. Enter. The woman from Kiri, she'd introduced herself as Mei, though she used a false surname, stepped inside. We have visitors, a group of shinobi claiming to be from Ame. They're requesting an audience. Naruto's eyebrows rose. Ame, Hidden Rain, Hanzo's village, though rumors suggested the demigod had been overthrown. Show them in. This should be interesting. 3 figures entered, all wearing the distinctive forehead protectors of Amagakure. The leader was a man with orange hair and multiple piercings. Naruto's observation haki immediately sensed something unusual about him. Naruto Uzumaki, the orange-haired man said, his voice emotionless. I am Pain, leader of Amagakure. We've been watching your rise with interest. Have you now? Naruto leaned back in his throne, affecting casual disinterest. And what does the leader of a hidden village want with a missing nin rebuilding ruins? An alliance, Pain said simply. Our goals align. You seek to rebuild Uzushigakure, to establish power outside the traditional village system. We've done the same in Ame. Together we could. No, Pain's eyes narrowed. You refuse without even hearing the terms? I refuse because I can sense what you are. Naruto's observation Haki had been analyzing Pain since he entered, and the truth was obvious. You're not alive, not fully. Those bodies, their corpses being controlled remotely, which means the real you is hiding somewhere, afraid to show your face. The room went silent. Pain's companion shifted, hands moving toward weapons. Impressive, Pain finally said. Few can perceive my true nature, but that doesn't change my offer. Alliance would benefit us both. Would it? Naruto stood, strings beginning to extend from his fingertips. You want to use me? Add my village to your network, control the Uzumaki sealing techniques. But I don't share power. I don't form partnerships with equals. Either you serve me or you're an enemy. You're being unreasonable, one of Pain's companions said, a woman with blue hair. We're offering cooperation between sovereign nations. There's only one sovereign in this room, Naruto interrupted, his voice sharp. Me. Everything else is negotiable. Pain's expression didn't change. Then I'm afraid we have a problem. A Megakure will not kneel to a child. Then we'll settle this the traditional way. Naruto's grin was predatory. You versus me. If you win, I'll consider your alliance. If I win, you leave and never return. You challenge me to single combat? Pain asked. Why not? You're confident in your power. I'm confident in mine. Let's see which confidence is justified. Pain considered for a moment, then nodded. Very well, outside. They moved to the cleared plaza where Naruto's followers had gathered, sensing the tension. Pain's two companions stood aside, the blue-haired woman and a man with slicked-back hair. Naruto and Pain faced each other across the empty space. The air itself seemed to hold its breath. Begin whenever you're ready, Naruto said, spreading his arms in mock invitation. Pain raised his hand. Shinra Tensei! An invisible force exploded outward from Pain, a repulsive blast that should have crushed Naruto instantly. Armament Haki. Naruto's entire body turned black, and he stood firm against the blast. The force dissipated around him like water around a stone. His sunglasses didn't even crack. Interesting, Naruto commented. Gravitational manipulation? No, something similar, but different. Repulsive force. Let me guess, you have an attractive force as well? He didn't wait for an answer. 5 color strings. The attack came from 5 angles simultaneously, each string coated in Haki. Pain used Shinra Tensei again, but this time Naruto had anticipated it. The strings curved around the repulsive zone, coming at Pain from directions the technique couldn't cover. Pain leaped backward, but one string caught his leg, cutting deep. Black blood leaked from the wound. You're fast, Naruto acknowledged. But my observation Haki lets me predict your movements. You can't dodge what I've already seen coming. Bansho Tenin! This time the force reversed, pulling Naruto toward Pain at incredible speed, but Naruto adapted instantly. Spider's web! Strings shot into the ground, anchoring him in place. The attractive force pulled him taut between the anchor points, but he didn't budge. You relied too much on your gravity techniques, Naruto observed. Let me show you real versatility. Overheat. His arm transformed into a massive whip of string, coated in armament Haki and burning from friction. The whip carved through the air with devastating force. Pain jumped, but the whip curved mid-swing, following him. It caught his shoulder, and the entire arm detached, revealing mechanical components and chakra receivers inside. Ah, Naruto said, understanding. You're not just being controlled remotely, you're completely artificial. A corpse puppet powered by chakra. Clever. The detached arm reattached itself through some technique Naruto didn't recognize. Pain's expression remained blank, but there was a hint of something. Respect, concern in his eyes. You're stronger than reported, Pain admitted. But you haven't seen my full power, summoning jutsu. Massive creatures appeared. A multi-headed dog, a giant bird, a rhinoceros. Each one radiated the same chakra signature as Pain himself. Summons that share your abilities, Naruto noted. Interesting tactic. Overwhelming opponents through numbers and shared powers. The dog split into multiple copies, surrounding him. The bird attacked from above. The rhino charged head-on. Naruto laughed. Fu, finally, a real challenge. Let's see how your summons handle this. He thrust both hands outward. 16 holy bullets, God thread. 16 massive strings, each one thicker than a tree trunk and coated in armament haki, shot from his palms. They moved like living serpents, each one targeting a different summon. The strings pierced through the multi-headed dog's copies, dispersing them into smoke. They wrapped around the bird mid-flight, crushing it. They impaled the rhino before it could reach Naruto, lifting the massive beast into the air. All 16 summons were destroyed in seconds. Pain's eyes widened fractionally. That technique, the power behind it is extraordinary. You haven't seen anything yet, Naruto said. I've been holding back, testing your abilities, but I think I understand you now. Time to get serious. His chakra flared, but it was different now, mixed with the Nine-Tails red chakra. Kurama was lending him power, and the combination was intoxicating. Black Knight. 10-string clones appeared around Naruto, each one identical to him. But these weren't simple duplicates, they were perfect copies that could use all his techniques independently. Each Black Knight is as strong as me, Naruto explained. They can use strings, haki, everything. And unlike shadow clones, they don't disappear from a single hit. The Black Knights spread out, surrounding Pain from all angles. Strings extended from each one, creating a web so dense that escape seemed impossible. Pain tried Shinra Tensei again, but the repulsive force couldn't reach all the Black Knights simultaneously. Before he could reset the technique, strings wrapped around his limbs from a dozen different angles. Parasite. Naruto took control of Pain's body, his fingers dancing as he made the corpse puppet strike itself, tear at its own chakra receivers. But then something changed. Pain's eyes shifted, literally changed pattern, and suddenly lightning erupted from his body, destroying the strings. You have multiple abilities, Naruto realized. Those eyes, Rinnegan. Each body has different powers. Correct, Pain said, his voice still emotionless despite the damage. You're the first to force me to reveal this much, but the fight ends now. More Pain bodies appeared, 6 in total shield, each with the same Rinnegan eyes but different appearances. They surrounded Naruto and his Black Knights in perfect formation. 6 paths of Pain, the original said. Each one controls a different aspect of power. Together, we're invincible. Naruto's grin widened. 6 bodies? I have 10 Black Knights plus myself. Let's do the math. What followed was a battle unlike anything Uzushigakure's ruins had ever witnessed. The 6 Pains moved in perfect coordination, each one using unique abilities. Gravity manipulation, soul extraction, mechanical weaponry, summoning, energy absorption, and revival. But Naruto and his Black Knights were just as coordinated. Strings filled the air like a deadly web, each one coated in armament haki. The Black Knights used observation haki to predict attacks, dodging soul extraction attempts and countering mechanical weapons with bullet string attacks. Ever White! A thick rope of string shot from Naruto's hand, piercing through one of the Pain bodies, the one that absorbed ninjutsu. The string was pure physical force enhanced by haki, something the absorption technique couldn't counter. Break White! Multiple thick strings formed a net that caught the summoning path mid-jump, slamming it into the ground with devastating force. The battle raged for minutes that felt like hours. Buildings that had survived Uzushigakure's original destruction crumbled under the assault. The ground cratered from Shinra Tensei impacts. Strings cut through stone and steel alike. Finally, Naruto saw his opening. All 6 Pains were coordinating their attacks, which meant their real controller, wherever he was dividing his attention 6 ways. Observation haki, focus. He extended his sensing ability to its absolute limit, searching for the source of Pain's control. There, beneath Ame, in some hidden location, a single individual controlling all 6 bodies. Found you, Naruto whispered. He couldn't reach that far physically, but he could send a message. Conqueror's haki! Naruto unleashed his willpower not at the Pain bodies, but along the chakra connection linking them to their controller. The invisible wave of dominance traveled through the link like lightning through a wire. All 6 Pain bodies collapsed simultaneously. In his hidden chamber beneath Omegakure, Nagato gasped, blood trickling from his nose. That pressure, that overwhelming presence, it had struck directly at his consciousness through his chakra receivers. How was that possible? The pain bodies rose again, but slower, more cautiously. Impressive, the main body said. You struck at my true self through the shared connection. No one has ever done that before. Because no one else has Conqueror's haki, Naruto said, breathing hard but still grinning. Now, shall we continue? Or have you seen enough? Pain was silent for a moment. Then slowly, the 6 bodies retreated, reforming into a defensive line. You've proven your strength, Pain acknowledged. This battle could continue, but it would only result in mutual destruction. I withdraw my alliance offer. Uzumaki will develop independently. Smart choice, Naruto said. Though I'm disappointed, I wanted to see your other techniques. Perhaps another time, Pain said. When we meet again, it may be as enemies or allies, but today we part as warriors who respect each other's strength. The Pain bodies vanished in swirls of smoke or paper, leaving only Naruto and his followers in the damaged plaza. Naruto's followers stared in awe. They just watched their leader fight the legendary leader of Amigakure to a standstill, and arguably win. Clean up this mess, Naruto ordered, dismissing his Black Knights, and reinforce the damaged buildings. If Pain could find us, others will too. As his followers scrambled to obey, Naruto retreated to his throne room. The battle had been exhilarating, but it had also shown him something important. He wasn't invincible. Pain's 6-pass technique was formidable, and if the battle had continued, the outcome was uncertain. He needed to grow stronger, perfect his techniques, master the 9-tailed chakra completely. But more than that, he needed allies who could stand beside him in battle. The 43 shinobi he'd recruited were useful for building and basic defense, but against enemies like Pain, they were cannon fodder. He needed elite warriors, people with unique abilities and unwavering loyalty. Fu, he laughed softly. Time to expand recruitment. Find the truly powerful ones hiding in this world, and show them that serving the heavenly demon is preferable to any alternative. Over the next 3 months, Naruto's reputation spread across the shinobi world like wildfire. Stories circulated of the heavenly demon, a boy who commanded strings that could cut through anything, who possessed mysterious abilities no one could explain, who had fought Pain of Amigakure and lived. Missing Nin began seeking out Uzumaki, either to join or to challenge. Each challenge ended the same way. Naruto's overwhelming victory in a choice, join or die. His army grew to over 200 shinobi, ranging from chunin-level fighters to several jonin-class warriors. They weren't loyal out of shared ideals. Naruto made no pretense of justice or righteousness. They were loyal because he was stronger, because he could protect them, and because following him offered opportunities they'd never have elsewhere. Uzumaki itself began to take shape. Walls rose around the main island, reinforced with ceiling barriers Naruto had mastered from the clan scrolls. Buildings were reconstructed in the distinctive Uzumaki style, spiraling architecture that doubled as defensive formations. Training grounds were established where shinobi could refine their techniques. Research labs were set up to study sealing arts, living quarters, mess halls, armories, all the infrastructure of a functioning village. And at the center of it all stood Naruto's palace, a massive structure built from salvaged materials and reinforced with string-based architecture that made it nearly indestructible. He sat on his throne, an actual throne now, carved from a single massive stone and inlaid with gold salvaged from the ruins. When the next major visitor arrived, Mei entered the throne room, her expression troubled. We have a situation. A group of 12 shinobi just landed on the eastern shore. They're wearing Konoha headbands. Naruto's grin widened. Finally, I was wondering when they'd send someone. Show them in. The Konoha delegation was led by none other than Kakashi Hatake, with Yamato at his side and 10 Anbu backing them up. They entered the throne room with hands on weapons, clearly expecting trouble. Naruto, Kakashi said, his single visible eye taking in the transformed ruins, the armed guards, the throne. You've been busy. Kakashi-sensei, how wonderful to see you again. Naruto stood, pink coat swirling around him. What brings Konoha to my humble village? Tsunade sent us to deliver a message, Kakashi said carefully. She wants to negotiate. There's been no official declaration of you as a missing 9 yet. If you return to Konoha and explain your actions, she's willing to work something out. Work something out? Naruto laughed. How generous, and what exactly would we work out? My family's murder? The village's lies? The decades of abuse? The past can't be changed, Yamato interjected, but the future can be different. Tsunade is sincere about making amends. I'm sure she is. It's much easier to make amends when the alternative is having a hostile village on your borders. Naruto descended from his throne, strings extending from his fingers. But I'm not interested in amends. I'm interested in power. The Anbu tensed, but Kakashi raised a hand to stop them. You're really going through with this? Building a village outside the 5 great nations' authority? Why not? Ame did it. Taki, Kusa, Tani, dozens of smaller villages exist independently. The only difference is that Uzushiogakure will be strong enough that the great nations can't just destroy it when convenient. You're going to start a war, Kakashi said flatly. No, I'm going to prevent one. Naruto's voice was serious now. The great nations only respect strength. If Uzushiogakure is weak, they'll crush it. If it's strong, they'll negotiate. I'm simply ensuring we're strong enough to be taken seriously. And how many will die to achieve that strength? Yamato asked. As many as necessary. Naruto met their eyes without flinching. I won't pretend to be righteous, Yamato. I won't claim my cause is just. But I will be honest, this world runs on violence. I'm simply better at it than most. Kakashi studied him for a long moment. You've really changed. The Naruto I trained would never talk like this. That Naruto died 8 years ago in the Konoha archives. Naruto's smile was sharp. What emerged was something better, something honest. Then I guess we have nothing more to discuss. Kakashi turned to leave, his delegation following. At the doorway, he paused. Tsunade asked me to tell you something. She said, your mother would be heartbroken to see what you've become. For just a moment, something flickered across Naruto's face. Then it was gone, replaced by his theatrical grin. My mother is dead because Konoha valued the Nine Tails more than her life. Tell Tsunade that Kushina Uzumaki would understand exactly what I've become, a survivor in a world that tried to break me. After the delegation left, Naruto returned to his throne, staring at nothing. Would Kushina understand, or would she be ashamed? It didn't matter. She was gone. The entire Uzumaki clan was gone. All that remained was him and this village he was building from their ashes. Fu-fu-fu-fu! He laughed, but it sounded hollow even to his own ears. Sentiment is weakness. The dead don't judge. Only the living matter. But that night, for the first time in years, Naruto dreamed of his mother. She stood in the ruins of Uzushiogakure, red hair streaming in the wind, looking at him with sad eyes. I'm sorry, Kasan, he whispered in the dream. But this is the only way I know to honor you, by making sure no one can ever destroy the Uzumaki again. She didn't answer. Dreams never did. When he woke, it was to urgent knocking. Mei entered, her face pale. We have a problem. A massive one. Akatsuki has been spotted heading toward the island. Multiple members, including their leader. Naruto was instantly alert. How many? At least 6. Maybe more. They'll be here within the hour. Evacuate the non-combatants to the outer islands. Combat-ready shinobi to defensive positions. And Mei? He smiled. This is what we've been training for. Time to show Akatsuki that Uzushiogakure isn't easy prey. The village mobilized with impressive efficiency. Within 30 minutes, civilians were evacuated and 200 armed shinobi stood ready. Ceiling barriers activated across the island, creating multiple layers of defense. Naruto stood at the main gate, pink coat billowing in the sea breeze. Behind him, his elite fighters, the strongest of his recruits, waited in formation. They didn't have to wait long. 6 figures appeared on the horizon, walking across the water with casual confidence. As they approached, Naruto recognized some of them from Jiraiya's intelligence reports. Itachi Uchiha, his Sharingan already active. Kasame Hoshigaki, his massive sword Samehada resting on his shoulder. Sasori of the Red Sand, hunched in his puppet body. Deidara, already molding clay with the mouths on his hands. Kakuzu, his green eyes scanning the defenses. Hiden, his scythe gleaming in the sunlight. Well, Kasame grinned, showing his shark-like teeth. The Nine-Tails Jinchuriki built himself a village. How cute. Akatsuki, Naruto called out. To what do I owe the displeasure? Itachi stepped forward, his voice calm and controlled. You know why we're here. The Nine-Tails. We've come to extract it. Have you now? Naruto's strings began to extend from his fingertips. That's unfortunate for you, because I'm rather attached to Kurama, literally. This doesn't have to be violent, Itachi continued. Come with us willingly and we'll spare your village. Naruto's laugh echoed across the water. Fu-fu-fu! Spare my village? You misunderstand the situation. You're not the ones doing the sparing here. Deidara sneered. Cocky brat, let me blow him up, yeah. Wait, Sasori said, his voice raspy from his puppet body. I've heard about this one. The heavenly demon supposedly possesses abilities no one can explain. Supposedly, Naruto grinned. Let me demonstrate. 5 color strings. The attack came faster than most could track. 5 razor-sharp strings shot toward the Akatsuki members, each one coated in armament haki. Itachi Sharingan spun, and he dodged with minimal movement. Kasame raised Samahata to block, but the strings cut into the sword's flesh. It couldn't absorb the haki coating. Sasori's puppet body took the hit, strings punching holes through the wood. Deidara took to the air on a clay bird, narrowly avoiding the attack. Kakuzu's hardened skin deflected the strings, barely. Hidan made no attempt to dodge, letting the strings cut through his chest. That all you got? Hidan laughed, blood streaming from his wounds. I'm immortal, you idiot! Are you? Naruto's fingers twitched, and more strings shot from the ground beneath Hidan's feet. Let's test that! Parasite! The strings wrapped around Hidan's limbs, and suddenly the immortal cultist froze. Naruto's fingers moved, and Hidan's own hands raised his scythe to his own throat. Stop playing around, Itachi commanded. We didn't come here to test his abilities. We came to extract the 9 tails. Then, you should have brought more people, Naruto said. Because 6 of you isn't enough. Black Knight! 10 string clones appeared around him, each one identical and ready for combat. Everyone, defensive formation. Naruto's shinobi moved into practice positions, sealing techniques activating across the island. This is gonna be fun, yeah! Deidara threw clay birds that exploded midair, raining destruction on the village defenses. But Naruto's barriers held. The Uzumaki sealing techniques were designed to withstand tailed beast attacks. Conventional explosives were nothing. Your defenses are impressive, Sasori noted, but they won't hold forever. Kakuzu, Hidan, take the left flank. Deidara, aerial assault. Kasame, breach the main gate. Itachi and I will handle the Jinchuriki. The Akatsuki members split up, each one attacking different points. Naruto's shinobi engaged them, but the difference in power was obvious. These were S-rank missing nin among the strongest shinobi alive. Naruto faced Itachi and Sasori alone, his Black Knight spreading out to help his overwhelmed forces. Amaterasu! Black flames erupted around Naruto, the inextinguishable fire of Itachi's Mangekyo Sharingan. But Naruto had sensed the attack before Itachi activated it. Observation haki! He was already moving, strings pulling him out of the flame's path. The Amaterasu burned through the ground, leaving scorched earth, but Naruto was untouched. You can sense my techniques before I use them, Itachi observed. Interesting ability. One of many, Naruto said. Overheat! His string whip carved through the air, forcing Itachi to dodge with Sharingan-enhanced reflexes. Sasori sent his puppets forward, 100 puppet attack, but Naruto's strings intercepted them midair. Spider's web! The entire battlefield filled with strings, each one a deadly trap. Puppets were caught, sliced apart. Itachi had to use his Sharingan to track every thread, dodging with precision that would have been impossible for anyone else. You're good? Naruto admitted. Both of you, but you're still operating within traditional parameters. Let me show you something beyond your understanding. He raised both hands. 16 holy bullets. God thread. The massive strings shot forward with devastating force. Itachi Susanoo manifested, a red skeletal defense that surrounded him. The strings struck the Susanoo and actually cracked it, pushing Itachi backward. Impossible, Itachi breathed. Nothing should be able to damage Susanoo. Armament haki can, Naruto interrupted. It's not chakra, not natural energy. It's pure will made manifest, and will can break anything. Sasori's remaining puppets attacked from behind, but Naruto had already sensed them with observation haki. He spun, strings cutting through the wooden constructs with ease. Your puppet techniques are impressive, Sasori, but wood is still just wood. Against haki-enhanced strings, it's paper. Across the battlefield, his Black Knights were holding their own. One fought Kasame, matching the Shark Man's water techniques with string-based barriers. Another tangled with Deidara's explosives, using threads to intercept clay bombs before they could detonate near the village. But the Akatsuki members were strong. Too strong for his regular shinobi. Already, bodies were falling. His people, overwhelmed by S-rank techniques they had no defense against. Naruto's jaw clenched. This was the reality of power. Even with his abilities, even with preparation, there were still forces in this world that could threaten what he built. Time to stop holding back. Kurama, he called inward. I need everything you've got. About time, the fox growled. I was wondering when you'd ask. Red chakra exploded from Naruto's body, forming a cloak of the Nine Tails' power. His hair stood on end and his eyes shifted to fox-like slits. The strings extending from his fingers now glowed with crimson energy, a fusion of his natural abilities and the Nine Tails chakra. That's the Nine Tails chakra, Itachi said, his Sharingan analyzing the transformation. But controlled, stable. How? Because unlike every other Jinchuriki, I don't need to suppress my tenet, Naruto said, his voice layered with Kurama's growl. We have an arrangement. He thrust his hands forward. Combined technique, crimson string bullets. The attack was unlike anything he'd used before. Bullet string enhanced with the Nine Tails chakra, each projectile glowing red and moving with terrifying speed. Itachi Susanoo manifested fully, a complete skeletal warrior with armor, but the crimson string bullets punched through the defense, cracking the Susanoo's ribs. Retreat, Itachi commanded. We're not prepared for this level of power. Running already? Naruto taunted. And here I thought Akatsuki was supposed to be scary. But Itachi was right to retreat. The combined power of Naruto's natural abilities and the Nine Tails chakra was overwhelming. Sasori's puppets were being shredded. Kasame's water techniques were being cut apart. Even Hidan's immortality didn't help when Naruto's strings could simply immobilize him indefinitely. Deidara! Itachi shouted. C3! You got it, yeah! Deidara formed a massive clay bomb, big enough to level the entire island, but Naruto saw it coming. Birdcage. Strings shot into the sky, forming the massive dome that had terrified Konoha. The cage descended, trapping Deidara's bomb inside. Detonate it if you want, Naruto called up, but the explosion will be contained. Your comrades will be caught in the blast. Deidara cursed but held off the detonation. The Akatsuki members regrouped, clearly reassessing their strategy. This isn't over, Itachi said, blood dripping from his eyes. Overuse of the Mangekyo Sharingan. We will return for the night. I'll be waiting, Naruto said. And next time, bring your leader, bring all of Akatsuki, because I'm just getting started. The Akatsuki members vanished in various techniques, kamui, substitution, body flicker. Within moments, they were gone, leaving behind damaged puppets and scorched earth. Naruto released the birdcage and dismissed his Black Knights. The Nine Tails chakra receded, leaving him standing in his pink coat, sunglasses reflecting the destruction. His shinobi cheered. They'd survived an Akatsuki assault, repelled 6 S-rank criminals, but Naruto didn't celebrate. He surveyed the damage. 15 dead, 30 wounded, defenses breached in multiple locations. This was victory? It felt like a warning. May approached, her face grim. We held them off, but barely. If they'd had more members, or if they'd fought seriously from the start, we'd have been destroyed, Naruto finished. I know. This attack was a probe. They were testing our strength, seeing what they'd face when they come back for real. So what do? Naruto looked out at his village, his people, and made a decision. We get stronger, much stronger. No more accepting average fighters. I need elites, warriors who can stand against S-rank enemies. He turned to May. Spread the word. The heavenly demon is recruiting. Not just anyone, only the truly exceptional, and I'll prove my worth by defeating them first. You're going hunting, May realized. Exactly. The great nations have their Jinchuriki, their bloodline users, their legendary shinobi. It's time I collect my own pieces, build a force that can stand against anyone. Over the next month, Naruto left Uzushiogakure in Mei's capable hands and traveled the shinobi world. His targets were specific, powerful individuals operating outside village control. First was a former Kiri Jonin named Zabuza Momochi. Naruto found him in Haku and Wave Country, taking mercenary jobs. The fight was brutal. Zabuza's silent killing technique was formidable, his massive cleaver a deadly tool. But Naruto's observation haki negated the stealth advantage. His strings could match Zabuza's water techniques, and armament haki made his attacks unstoppable. When Zabuza finally yielded, broken blade at his feet, Naruto made his offer. Join me. Uzushiogakure needs warriors like you. In return, I'll give you what Wave Country never could: respect, power, and a place where your strength is valued. Zabuza looked at the boy who defeated him, saw the scars on his own body from string attacks that had cut through his defenses like they were nothing. You promise Haku will be safe? Protected? On my honor as the last Uzumaki. Then we're in. Next came Kimimaro of the Kaguya clan. Naruto found him dying in an Otakure hideout, body ravaged by disease. You're wasting away, Naruto observed, strings probing Kimimaro's failing body. That disease is eating you from the inside. I have months, perhaps weeks, Kimimaro said calmly. What do you want? I want you alive and fighting for me, and I can make that happen. Using the Uzumaki clan's medical sealing techniques combined with the Nine-Tails healing chakra, Naruto stabilized Kimimaro's condition. Not a cure, but enough to extend his life significantly. Why save me? Kimimaro asked, feeling strength return to his limbs. Because warriors like you are rare. The Shikotsu-myaku bloodline is unique. I'd rather have you on my side than rotting in a bed. Kimimaro knelt. Then I am yours, Naruto Uzumaki, until my bones turn to dust. Third was Jugo, whose sage transformation made him valuable but unstable. The battle was short. When Jugo transformed into his berserk state, Naruto used Conqueror's Haki to knock him unconscious. Then he used strings to create a seal that stabilized Jugo's transformations, giving him control over the power. You fixed me? Jugo stammered when he woke, feeling the curse mark's power but under his command. I gave you control. What you do with it is up to you. Join me, and I'll teach you to master it completely. Jugo, who'd spent years fearing his own power, agreed immediately. Fourth was Karin, an Uzumaki descendant Naruto found in Odogakure. When he revealed his identity, showed her the Uzumaki clan records, she cried. I thought I was alone, she whispered. You were, but not anymore. Come with me. Help me rebuild what was taken from us. She didn't hesitate. By the time Naruto returned to Uzushiogakure, he brought with him 11 elite warriors, each one capable of fighting Jonin-level opponents. Combined with the 200 regular shinobi, his village now had real military power. He stood before them all in the reconstructed plaza, pink coat billowing dramatically. Welcome to Uzushiogakure, he announced. Some of you are here for revenge, others for power, some for redemption. I don't care about your reasons. What matters is that you're here now, and together we're going to build something this world has never seen. He spread his arms wide. The 5 great nations think they control everything. They destroy villages that threaten them, suppress bloodlines that make them uncomfortable, eliminate clans that don't conform. But they forgot one crucial truth. His voice rose, carrying across the entire island. Power isn't granted by recognition. It's taken by force. We don't need their permission to exist. We don't need their approval to thrive. We simply need to be strong enough that destroying us costs more than tolerating us. The assembled shinobi roared approval. From today, Uzushiogakure is officially reformed. We will trade with who we choose, ally with who we choose, and fight who we choose. And anyone, any village, any organization, any force that tries to stop us will learn why they should have left the Uzumaki clan alone in the first place. Another cheer, louder this time. Naruto's grin was sharp as glass. Now, let's get to work. We have a world to reshape. 6 months after Naruto's departure from Konoha, the 5 Kage Summit was called. In the neutral territory of the Land of Iron, the 5 most powerful shinobi in the world gathered. Tsunade of Konoha, Ei of Kumo, Onoki of Iwa, Mei Terumi of Kiri, and Gaara of Suna. We have a problem, Tsunade began, cutting through the usual political posturing. Naruto Uzumaki has successfully established Uzushiogakure as a functioning village. Current intelligence suggests over 300 combat-ready shinobi, multiple elite-level fighters, and defensive capabilities that rival minor villages. One boy did this in 6 months? Ei's voice was skeptical. Not just any boy, Onoki said grimly. A Jinchuriki with abilities we can't explain and apparently no qualms about using them. My scouts report he fought Pain of Omegakure to a standstill and repelled an Akatsuki assault on his village, Mei added. 6 S-rank criminals, including Itachi Uchiha and Kasame Hoshigaki. They retreated. Gaara, the youngest Kage present, spoke carefully. If he's that powerful, attacking him might be worse than negotiating. What does he want? Independence, apparently, Tsunade said. No, he's made no aggressive moves against any major village. His recruitment targets missing 9 and disillusioned shinobi. He trades fairly with merchants. By all accounts, he's building a legitimate village. But outside our control, I growled, that sets a dangerous precedent. If villages can just form wherever. They already do, Mei interrupted. Taki, Kusa, dozens of minor villages exist outside the 5 great nations. The difference is that Uzushiogakure is led by someone who can actually defend it. So what do you propose? Onoki asked Tsunade. She was quiet for a moment. Conditional recognition. We acknowledge Uzushiogakure as a sovereign village with the same rights as other minor villages. In exchange, Naruto agrees to certain restrictions. No harboring known criminals, no unprovoked attacks, standard diplomatic protocols. You want to legitimize him? A's fist slammed the table. He abandoned his village. He's a missing 9. Technically, I never officially classified him as such, Tsunade admitted. I was hoping to negotiate his return. That ship has sailed, clearly. But the boy I trained, the boy I knew, he's not evil. Ruthless, yes. Pragmatic? Definitely, but not randomly destructive. And if we refuse recognition? Gaara asked. Then we drive him into Akatsuki's arms, Mei said bluntly. Or worse, we force a confrontation that will cost lives on all sides. The boy can use the Nine Tails' power without losing control. He has abilities that counter even the Sharingan. Starting a war with him benefits no one. The debate continued for hours, but eventually a consensus was reached. Uzushiogakure would receive conditional recognition as a minor village, subject to observation and restrictions. It wasn't surrender. It was pragmatism. When Naruto received word of the 5 Kage Summit's decision, he laughed until tears streamed down his face. They actually did it, he gasped between laughs. They legitimized us. Mei, now officially his second-in-command, smiled. Your plan worked. Force them to choose between fighting or negotiating. Make negotiation the obviously better option. Of course it worked. It's basic strategy. Naruto wiped his eyes, composing himself. But this is just the beginning. Recognition means nothing if we can't maintain our strength. He stood, moving to the window that overlooked his rebuilt village. Uzushiogakure gleamed in the afternoon sun. New buildings constructed in the traditional spiral pattern. Defensive walls reinforced with ceiling barriers. Training grounds where shinobi practiced advanced techniques. We've achieved more in 6 months than most villages do in years, he said. But we can't get comfortable. Akatsuki will return. The great nations will test us. And somewhere out there, threats we haven't even imagined are preparing. So what's next? Mei asked. Naruto's grin was sharp. Next, we show them all what the Uzumaki clan was really capable of. The sealing techniques in our archives, they're just the beginning. With the 9 tails of chakra and my abilities combined, I can create seals that will revolutionize shinobi combat. He turned back to her, eyes gleaming with ambition behind his sunglasses. We're going to make Uzushiogakure the most advanced village in the world. Not the strongest, not yet, but the most innovative. And when the great nations come begging for our techniques, we'll be in a position to dictate terms. You're thinking long term. Always. Power isn't just about winning fights. It's about creating systems that perpetuate your dominance. The great nations control the world because they have resources, infrastructure, political influence. We need all of that too. Over the following months, Naruto's vision began to take shape. Uzushiogakure established trade routes with merchants throughout the continent. The village's unique sealing techniques became highly valued. Storage seals that could preserve food indefinitely, barrier seals that could protect homes from natural disasters, even medical seals that accelerated healing. Naruto personally developed new applications of his abilities. He created string-based communication networks that allowed instant messaging across vast distances. He designed training methods that incorporated both traditional shinobi techniques and his own unique understanding of haki. The village population grew to over 1,000. Not all shinobi, but craftsmen, merchants, scholars. A real community was forming, but Naruto never forgot the fundamental truth that had shaped him. Power was everything. He trained relentlessly, pushing his abilities to new heights. The fusion of his string techniques and the nine-tails chakra produced devastating combinations. His haki grew stronger, more refined, and one day, 8 months after leaving Konoha, Naruto achieved something no one in this world had ever done. He awakened his abilities. It happened during a training session with Kimimaro. They were sparring, testing each other's limits, when Naruto felt it, a shift in his power, like a door opening in his mind. Suddenly, his strings could do more than just cut and bind. They could affect the environment itself. Awakening, he whispered, understanding flooding through him. My abilities have evolved beyond their basic form. He thrust his hands into the ground, and the earth itself transformed into strings. Buildings, rocks, weapons, anything he touched could become threads under his control. Kimimaro stared in awe as the entire training ground converted to strings, a sea of white threads flowing at Naruto's command. This is the next level, Naruto said, his voice filled with wonder. Doflamingo's ultimate technique, and now it's mine. Awakening lets me transform my surroundings into strings. The entire battlefield becomes my weapon. He experimented with his new ability, discovering its applications. Flap thread, creating massive string constructs from transformed materials. Off-white, converting structures into string clones that attacked independently. The awakening made him exponentially more dangerous. Now, even entering his territory was risky. He could turn the very ground into a weapon. News of his new ability spread, and with it, his reputation grew even more fearsome. The heavenly demon who could transform reality itself. But power brought attention, and attention brought enemies. It was a quiet evening when Naruto's observation haki detected them. A massive force approaching Uzumaki. Not Akatsuki, not the great nations, something else. He stood on the newly constructed walls, watching as ships appeared on the horizon. Dozens of them, all bearing unfamiliar symbols. Who are they? Zabuza asked, appearing at his side. I don't know, Naruto admitted. But my observation haki is screaming warnings. Whoever they are, they're powerful, really powerful. The ships landed, and an army disembarked. Over 500 shinobi, all wearing matching uniforms. At their head was a man who radiated power. His chakra signature was enormous, easily on par with Kage. The man stepped forward, his voice carrying across the water. Naruto Uzumaki, I am Hiriko, leader of the enlightened. We've come to claim your village and your power. Naruto's eyes narrowed. Hiriko? I've never heard of you. You will. Hiriko's form shifted, revealing multiple bloodline abilities active simultaneously. I possess the powers of 5 different Kekkei Genkai. I've spent decades collecting them, perfecting my technique, and now I've come for yours, these strings that defy explanation. You want my abilities? Naruto laughed. Get in line. Everyone wants something from me. But let me tell you what I tell everyone. You're welcome to try taking it. He spread his arms wide, strings extending from every finger. Behind him, 300 Uzumaki shinobi prepared for battle. This is your last chance to retreat, Naruto called out. Leave now, and I'll let you live. Stay, and you'll learn why Akatsuki fled from this village. Hiriko's laugh was mocking. Akatsuki fled because they were unprepared. I am not. Enlightened! Attack! The battle that followed would be remembered in shinobi history as the siege of Uzumaki, 500 enemy shinobi against 300 defenders. Overwhelming odds by any measure, but Naruto had trained his people well, and he had his awakened abilities. Birdcage, awakening, thread dominion. The massive string dome descended, trapping everyone within its boundaries. But this time it was different. The ground itself transformed into strings, creating a battlefield where Naruto had absolute control. Welcome to my world, he announced. Here, I am God. The enemy forces charged, techniques blazing, but Naruto's awakened abilities countered everything. Earth techniques? The ground was already strings. Water techniques, converted to threads mid-attack. Fire techniques, strings that could withstand the heat. His Black Knights materialized across the battlefield, dozens of them now, each one using awakened abilities. The entire area became a nightmare of cutting threads, binding strings, transforming terrain. Hiriko himself attacked Naruto directly, his multiple bloodlines creating devastating combinations. But Naruto had observation haki, armament haki, the nine-tails chakra, and now awakened abilities. You're strong, Naruto admitted, dodging a combination of ice and steel release techniques. But you made one critical mistake. What's that? Hiruko snarled. You attacked my home, and here I'm unbeatable. Conqueror's Haki, full release. The invisible wave of willpower exploded across the battlefield, and hundreds of enemy shinobi simply collapsed unconscious. Only the strongest remained standing, and even they felt the crushing weight of Naruto's presence. Impossible, Hiruko whispered. What is that power? Something beyond your understanding, Naruto said. Something that can't be stolen or copied. This is the king's disposition, the power of those born to rule. He thrust both hands forward. Awakening, thousand arms god thread. The transformed ground erupted upward, forming 1,000 massive string arms that attacked from every angle. Hiruko tried to defend, but there were too many, coming too fast. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it ended, Hiruko's enlightened were destroyed. Over 400 dead or captured, the rest fled on their ships. Hiruko himself knelt before Naruto, body broken, bloodlines exhausted. Kill me, he rasped. I failed. No, Naruto said. I don't waste resources. You have 5 Kekkei Genkai, extensive knowledge, and clearly organizational skills. You're more valuable alive. He extended a string, forming a seal on Hiruko's chest. This seal binds you to Uzushigakure. Break it and you die. Serve me and you'll live. Your choice. Hiruko stared at the boy who defeated his entire organization, saw the absolute confidence in his stance. I'll serve. Good, welcome to the family. The aftermath of the siege changed everything. Uzushigakure had faced an army and won, decisively. The message was clear. This village could defend itself against anyone. Naruto stood in his throne room, surveying reports of the battle. Minimal casualties on his side. His awakened abilities had turned the entire battlefield into his personal domain, making traditional combat nearly impossible for the enemy. We've proven ourselves, Mei said, entering with updates. Merchants are requesting permanent trade agreements. Smaller villages want alliances. Even some great nation shinobi are inquiring about joining. Excellent. Naruto leaned back in his throne. This is what I've been working toward. Not conquest, but respect. Let them come to us willingly. What about Hiruko and the captured enlightened? They're dangerous. They're useful. Hiruko's knowledge of bloodline integration could revolutionize our medical programs. The captured shinobi can be re-educated, given purpose. We're not Konoha. We don't execute prisoners just because they opposed us. Naruto stood, moving to the window. Send word to the 5 great nations. Officially inform them of the attack and our successful defense. Let them know that Uzushigakure will not be intimidated by armies or organizations. That's bold. They might see it as a threat. Let them. Fear and respect are often indistinguishable. He grinned. Besides, we've earned the right to be bold. We've survived everything thrown at us. It's time to stop reacting and start acting. What did you have in mind? Expansion, not military conquest. Economic expansion. I want Uzushigakure to become the trading hub of the shinobi world. Our sealing techniques, our unique training methods, our innovations, all of it becomes marketable. We'll be so embedded in the global economy that attacking us becomes economically suicidal. Mei smiled. Conquest through commerce instead of combat. Clever. It's the only sustainable way. Military power is important, but economic power lasts forever. Naruto's eyes gleamed. The great nations will learn that the Uzumaki clan isn't just back. We're better than we ever were before. Over the next months, Naruto's vision became reality. Uzushigakare's influence spread across the continent, not through force, but through value. Villages that couldn't afford the great nation's prices could trade with Uzushigakure instead. The village became a sanctuary for bloodline users fleeing persecution, for talented shinobi seeking opportunities, for merchants looking for fair deals. Naruto himself became a figure of legend. The heavenly demon who'd rebuilt a destroyed village in less than a year. Who'd fought Akatsuki and won. Who defeated entire armies with abilities no one could explain. But he knew this was just the beginning. Akatsuki was still out there, gathering tailed beasts. The great nations were watching, waiting for any sign of weakness. Unknown threats lurked in the shadows. And somewhere out there, Sasuke Uchiha was growing stronger, seeking Itachi, preparing for battles that would reshape the shinobi world. But Naruto was ready. He had his village, his followers, his power. He had everything he'd worked for, standing on the highest tower of Uzushigakure, pink coat billowing in the ocean breeze. Naruto looked out at the horizon and grinned. Let them come, he said to the wind. Let Akatsuki attack. Let the great nations test us. Let every challenge this world can offer arrive at our shores. He spread his arms wide, strings extending into the sky like wings. Because I am Naruto Uzumaki, the heavenly demon, the last of the Uzumaki clan, and I will show this world what it means to stand at the top. His laugh echoed across the water, theatrical and confident. Foo foo foo, the game is just beginning, and I've already won. Far away, in hidden bases and great villages, powerful forces heard those words and prepared. Some with fear, some with excitement, some with determination. The heavenly demon had risen, the throne had been claimed, and the shinobi world would never be the same. In Konoha, Tsunade read the intelligence reports with a heavy heart. Naruto had done it, built a village, created an army, established himself as a legitimate power. Should we have done something different? Kakashi asked, standing beside her desk. Maybe, probably. Tsunade sighed. But it's too late now. He's beyond our reach, beyond anyone's control. Do you think he'll attack us? No, not unless we give him reason to. She looked at Kakashi. Despite everything, I don't think he wants destruction. He wants recognition, respect, the things Konoha never gave him. And now he's taken them for himself. Yes, and honestly, Tsunade smiled sadly. Part of me is proud. The boy we couldn't protect found a way to protect himself. The child we failed became strong enough that failure doesn't matter anymore. In Amagakure, Pain watched the reports with his Rinnegan eyes. The Nine-Tails Jinchuriki grows stronger, Conan observed. Should we accelerate our plans? No. Let him build his village, gather his strength. When we finally extract the Nine-Tails, it will be from the peak of his power. That's more poetic. And if he's too strong to defeat? Pain was silent for a moment. Then we'll learn if God can bleed. In Otogakure, Orochimaru laughed as he read about his former target. Fascinating. The boy has surpassed even my expectations. Perhaps approaching him was the wrong strategy. Perhaps. His golden eyes gleamed. Perhaps an alliance would be more profitable. And in some unknown location, Madara Uchiha, wearing his Toby mask, considered the reports with ancient eyes. Interesting. Very interesting. A Jinchuriki who doesn't follow the script, who builds instead of destroys, who creates rather than conquers. He chuckled behind his mask. This changes nothing. The infinite Tsukuyomi will still come to pass, but perhaps this boy will make the journey more entertaining. But Naruto, standing on his tower, knew none of this. He simply stared at the horizon, planning, preparing, growing stronger, because he understood the fundamental truth of this world. The story wasn't over. The battles weren't finished. The challenges would keep coming. But he was ready. He had his throne, his kingdom, his power, and he would defend them against anyone who dared challenge his rule. The heavenly demon had risen, and heaven itself would tremble. The wind carried Naruto's laughter across the ocean, and in that moment, watching from the shadows of nearby islands, multiple forces made their decisions. In a cave system beneath the land of rivers, Obito removed his Toby mask and stared at the intelligence reports. This changes the timeline, he muttered. A Nine-Tails Jinchuriki who's built an independent power base, who fought Pain's 6 paths and forced a retreat. Black Zetsu, your assessment? The dark entity emerged from the stone floor. He's dangerous. His abilities don't match any bloodline in our records. The strings, the strange energy he calls haki, these are anomalies that could disrupt everything. Then we eliminate him before he becomes a problem. Obito's Sharingan spun. Gather the remaining Akatsuki members. We'll take the Nine-Tails by force, crush his village, and continue according to plan. And if he's stronger than anticipated, Obito's laugh was cold. I have Kamui. He can't hit what he can't touch. And once I activate the infinite Tsukuyomi, none of this will matter anyway. Far to the north, in Kumagakure's strategy room, the Raikage slammed his fist on the table, cracking the wood. This is unacceptable. A Jinchuriki establishing an independent village, recruiting missing nin, building an army, and the other Kages want to recognize him? The alternative is war, his brother Killer B said, arms crossed. And from what I'm hearing, bro, this kid ain't no average Joe. He's got that special glow, you know? I don't care what glow he has. We have 2 Jinchuriki. He has 1. We have the strongest military force among the 5 nations. He has a rebuilt ruin and some missing nin. A's eyes narrowed. I'm sending you, B. Take a team. Test this heavenly demon. See if he's really as strong as the reports claim. And if he is, then we'll know what we're dealing with. But I suspect these reports are exaggerated. No 14-year-old, no matter how talented, should be this powerful. In Konohagakure, Danzo met with his root agents in the underground facility. The council is weak, he said, his visible eye cold with calculation. Tsunade wants to play politics, to negotiate with a boy who should be executed as a traitor. But I see the truth. Naruto Uzumaki is a threat that will only grow stronger if left unchecked. What are your orders? Asked a masked root member. We eliminate him. Quietly, make it look like an accident or an attack by another village. Danzo's bandaged hand clenched. The Nine Tails should serve Konoha, not some upstart with delusions of grandeur. Mobilize Team Hawk. Use the intel we have on Uzushigakure's defenses. Strike fast, strike hard, and retrieve the Nine Tails Jinchuriki, dead or alive. But in Uzushiogakure itself, Naruto's observation haki had already sensed the gathering storms. He stood on his tower, strings extending from his fingers into the wind, using them as sensors that stretched for miles. They're coming, he said to Mei, who joined him on the tower. Multiple forces. I can feel their killing intent from here. How many? Akatsuki will come first. They need the Nine Tails for their plan. After that, he grinned. Who knows? Maybe Kumo wants to test me. Maybe Danzo thinks he can assassinate me quietly. Maybe all of them at once. It doesn't matter. You sound excited. I am. Naruto's laugh was genuine, theatrical. Fu. I've spent months building, recruiting that training. But I've been holding back, keeping my true strength hidden. Now they're forcing me to show it. They're giving me permission to demonstrate exactly what the heavenly demon can do. He turned to her, eyes gleaming behind his sunglasses. Send word to all forces. Full combat readiness. Activate every defense, every seal, every trap we've prepared, and gather our strongest. Zabuza, Kimimaro, Jugaron, Karako, everyone. This is what we've trained for. You're sure we can handle multiple simultaneous attacks? Mei. His voice was absolutely confident. I could handle them alone, but I want them to see what Uzushigakure represents. Not just me, but all of us. A village where the strong gather, where power is respected, where might makes right. He spread his arms wide. Let them come. Let them all come. We'll teach this world why the Uzumaki clan was feared. 3 days later, the first strike came. It was midnight when Naruto's observation haki screamed a warning. He was already moving before the explosion hit, strings pulling him from his quarters as root operatives materialized throughout the village. Fu. His laugh echoed through the darkness. Danzo's dogs. I should have expected this. 15 root agents, all elite jonin level, spread through Uzushiogakure with surgical precision. Their target was clear. Kill Naruto Uzumaki and extract the Nine Tails, but they'd made a critical error. They'd entered his territory. Awakening. Thread dominion. The ground beneath the root agents transformed instantly into strings. Buildings shifted, roads liquefied into threads, entire structures became weapons at Naruto's command. Welcome to my world, he said, appearing above them on a platform of strings. Here, I control everything. The ground you stand on, the walls around you, even the air itself can become my weapon. The root agents attacked without hesitation, scattering in all directions. Fire jutsu, wind blades, earth techniques, all launched with lethal precision. 5 color strings. Naruto's casual swipe sent 5 razor-sharp threads through the attacks, dispersing them like smoke. The strings continued, catching 3 root agents mid-jump. They didn't even have time to scream before the haki-coated threads cut clean through their bodies. 12 left, Naruto counted. Let's make this interesting. Black Knight. 10 string clones materialized, each one identical to Naruto. They spread across the battlefield, and now the root agents were outnumbered. One agent tried to escape, body flickering toward the village edge. But Naruto's observation haki had already seen the movement. Parasite. Strings shot from the ground, the awakened terrain responding to his will, and wrapped around the fleeing agent. Naruto's fingers moved, and the agent's own hands drew a kunai and drove it into his own throat. Running is useless, Naruto said pleasantly. My observation haki can sense your every movement. My awakened abilities mean the entire village is my weapon, and my Black Knights can fight independently while I focus on more interesting targets. A root agent tried using a sealing technique, attempting to bind Naruto's chakra, But Naruto simply coated his body in armament haki, and the seal shattered against the invisible armor. Did Danzo really think conventional techniques would work on me? He shook his head mockingly. How disappointing. I expected better from Konoha's darkness. The battle was systematic slaughter. The Black Knights hunted the remaining root agents through the transformed streets, using observation haki to predict every dodge, every counter, every desperate technique. Within 10 minutes, all 15 were dead. Naruto stood in the center of the carnage, not even breathing hard. Clean this up, he ordered the arriving Uzumaki forces, and send their bodies back to Konoha, gift-wrapped, with a message for Danzo, next time, come yourself. But he knew this was just the opening move. Danzo's assassination attempt had failed, which meant the real attacks would begin soon. He was right. 2 days later, his observation haki detected a massive chakra presence approaching from the northeast. Not trying to hide, not using stealth, announcing its presence like a challenge. Naruto met them at the shore. Killer Bee, flanked by a team of Kumo's elite jonin, including Darui and C. Yo, listen up. The name's Killer Bee, the 8 Tails Jinchuriki, you see. B rapped, his swords already drawn. Heard you're building something here, yeah, but the Raikage wants to know, are you for real? Naruto grinned, strings already extending from his fingertips. The 8 Tails Jinchuriki. Now this is interesting. Tell me, B, did your brother send you to test me or to die? Test you, bro, but if you're weak, might just take you back, you know. B's chakra flared, red tails beginning to form around him. Then let's not waste time with words. Naruto spread his arms wide. Come at me with everything you have. Show me what a true Jinchuriki can do. B didn't hesitate. The 8 Tails chakra erupted fully, transforming him into a red-cloaked warrior with 8 tails of pure energy. He moved with speed that would blur to most observers, swords singing through the air, but Naruto's observation haki saw every movement before it happened. 5 color strings. The threads intercepted B's sword strikes, haki-coated strings strong enough to deflect the chakra-enhanced blades. Sparks flew as string and steel clashed at speeds that created sonic booms. You're fast, Naruto acknowledged. But speed means nothing when I can see the future. Observation haki lets me predict your every move. B flipped backward, forming hand signs. Tailed Beast Ball! A massive sphere of compressed chakra formed in front of B's mouth, the signature technique of tailed beasts, capable of leveling mountains. Naruto's grin widened. Now we're talking. Let me show you something special. Armament haki, full body. His entire form turned black, the invisible armor visible as it coated every inch of his body. When the tailed beast ball fired, Naruto didn't dodge. He punched it. The collision created a shockwave that flattened buildings for 100 meters. The tailed beast ball detonated against Naruto's haki-coated fist, and the explosion engulfed him completely. When the smoke cleared, Naruto stood unharmed, hands still extended, grin still sharp. Impossible, C gasped. Nothing can withstand a tailed beast ball at point-blank range. Your mistake is thinking in terms of what's possible in your world, Naruto said. But I exist outside your rules. Now, let me show you what I can do. Kurama! Red chakra exploded from Naruto's body, forming the Nine Tails cloak. But unlike B's controlled transformation, Naruto's fusion was different. His strings glowed crimson, enhanced by the Nine Tails chakra, creating a combination that had never existed before. Combined technique, Crimson Spider's Web. Strings erupted in all directions, each one glowing with red chakra. The web spread across the entire shoreline, creating a cage that encompassed both armies. The Kumo forces tried to cut the strings, but they were haki-coated and Nine Tails enhanced, effectively indestructible. This is my territory now, Naruto announced. And in here, I'm God Parasite. Strings shot toward the Kumo Jonin, attempting to bind them. Darui responded with Storm Release, black lightning cutting through the approaching threads, one of the few techniques that could actually damage haki-coated strings due to its unique properties. Interesting, Naruto noted. Storm Release can interact with armament haki. You're more skilled than I expected, Darui. We didn't come unprepared, Darui said, his expression serious. We studied the reports. We know your abilities. Storm Release, Laser Circus. Multiple beams of lightspeed lightning converged on Naruto from different angles, but his observation haki saw them coming, and his awakened abilities gave him the perfect counter. Awakening, Flap Thread. The ground erupted upward, transformed strings forming massive shields that absorbed the lightning. Then Naruto compressed the strings and released them like springs, sending the absorbed energy back at Darui multiplied tenfold. The Kumo Jonin barely dodged, the reflect attack carving a trench through the shoreline. Meanwhile, B had fully transformed into the Eight Tails, a massive ox-like beast with 8 tentacle tails. The creature's roar shook the island. Finally getting serious? Naruto's grin was manic. Good. Let me match you. Nine Tails chakra mode, full release. The Nine Tails chakra shroud intensified, forming a perfect cloak that mimicked the fox's features. But unlike canon Naruto, this version retained full control, combining the beast's power with his own abilities seamlessly. Now we're even. Beast versus beast. Let's see who's stronger. The Eight Tails lunged, massive tentacles crashing down with enough force to split the island. But Naruto was already moving, strings pulling him through the air with impossible agility. Overheat. His arm transformed into a massive string whip, glowing red with Nine Tails chakra and coated in armament haki. The whip carved through the air and struck the Eight Tails' side, actually drawing blood from the beast. The Eight Tails roared in pain and fury. Inside the beast, B was shocked. What the? Nothing should be able to hurt a tailed beast in their released form. Armament Hakinor's voice echoed from within his chakra shroud. It's the armor of will, the manifestation of pure determination, and my will is absolute. He thrust both hands forward. 16 holy bullets, God thread. 16 massive strings, each one as thick as a tree trunk, glowing crimson with Nine Tails chakra and coated in visible black armament haki, shot toward the Eight Tails. The sheer destructive power was unprecedented. This was Naruto's ultimate offensive technique, enhanced to its absolute limit. The Eight Tails tried to dodge, but the strings moved like living serpents, tracking the beast's movements with observation haki guidance. They struck simultaneously from 16 different angles. The impact was catastrophic. The Eight Tails was driven into the ground, massive strings piercing through its chakra form. The beast dispersed partially, forced back into B's body as the damage overwhelmed the transformation. B emerged from the chakra shroud, breathing hard, swords raised defensively. Okay, you're the real deal, I can feel. That power's off the scale, makes me want to squeal. Do you yield? Naruto asked, landing gracefully. Or do we continue until one of us can't stand? B looked at his team, Darui injured, C unconscious, the other Jonin barely holding their own against Naruto's Black Knights. They were outmatched completely. We yield, yeah. This fight's done, you've won. B lowered his swords. But the Raikage won't be happy, that's for sure. He sent us to test you, and we failed, that's the score. Then take him a message, Naruto said, dismissing his Nine Tails chakra and Black Knights. Tell A that Uzumaki is not Konoha. I don't negotiate from weakness. If Kumo wants anything from me, alliance, trade, cooperation, they'll approach as equals, not superiors. Otherwise, stay away from my territory. He gestured, and medical personnel from Uzumaki emerged to treat the wounded Kumo forces. I have no quarrel with Kumogakure. You came to test my strength, and I showed it. Now leave peacefully, and we'll have no further conflict. B studied Naruto with new respect. You beat us, but you're showing mercy? Interesting move, not what I'd expect from someone so fierce. Mercy? Naruto laughed. No, this is pragmatism. Killing you would make Kumo my enemy. Sparing you shows I'm strong enough to be magnanimous. Which impression serves me better? Smart kid, ruthless, but smart. B sheathed his swords. We'll deliver your message, but between you and me, I think you're going to shake up this whole world, reshape what we see. After the Kumo forces departed, Naruto returned to his throne room. Mei was waiting with reports. Danzo's assassination failed. Kumo's test ended in your favor, but Akatsuki hasn't moved yet. She frowned. They're being too quiet. They're waiting, Naruto said, gathering their full strength. Danzo was probing, Kumo was testing. But when Akatsuki comes, it'll be with their entire organization. They want the Nine Tails, and they'll bring overwhelming force to take it. Can we withstand that? We'll have to. Naruto's expression was serious. I've shown individual strength defeated small forces, but Akatsuki has multiple S-ranked members, including Obito, the man who manipulates space-time itself. That's the real challenge. He stood, moving to the window. Strengthen all defenses, recall our forces from patrol. I want every capable fighter in Uzushio when they arrive. And May, send a message to someone for me. Who? Jiraiya. Tell him I know about Akatsuki. I know what they're after, and I know he has intelligence on their members. If he wants to stop them from succeeding, we should coordinate. Enemy of my enemy, and all that. You think he'll help? Maybe. Maybe not. But information is power, and right now I need every edge, Naruto's grin returned. Besides, I'm curious to see if Sensei's loyalty to Konoha is stronger than his desire to stop Akatsuki's plan. The message was sent, carried by one of Uzushigakure's fastest messengers. 3 days later, Jiraiya arrived alone, without his Konoha headband, looking older and more tired than Naruto remembered. They met on the rebuilt training grounds, away from prying eyes. You've changed, Jiraiya said quietly. The boy I trained would never have done what you've done. That boy was weak, Naruto replied. He believed in a system that betrayed him. I'm what emerged when those illusions shattered. And now you're building your own system, your own village, your own power base. Jiraiya studied him. What's the end game, Naruto? What do you really want? Respect, recognition, the assurance that no one will ever destroy the Uzumaki clan again. Naruto's voice was cold. I want a throne that can't be toppled, power that can't be challenged, security that doesn't depend on others' mercy. Is that so wrong? It's understandable, but the methods. Don't lecture me about methods, Naruto interrupted. I've killed, yes, I've brutalized enemies, intimidated opponents, built my village on fear and respect. But I haven't massacred clans, haven't used children as weapons, haven't committed any of the atrocities the great nations have done in the name of peace. My hands are bloody, but they're cleaner than most Kages. Jiraiya was silent for a long moment. You're right, and I hate that you're right. But you didn't ask me here to debate morality. What do you want? Information on Akatsuki, specifically their abilities. I know they're coming for the Nine Tails. I've already fought Pain's Six Paths and forced a retreat. But there are other members, Obito in particular. I need to know what I'm facing. Obito is dead, Jiraiya said. The boy who wore that name died in the Third War. No, he didn't. Naruto's observation haki had sensed the truth long ago. Uto Uchiha survived, acquired Madara's legacy, and now controls Akatsuki from the shadows. He calls himself Tobi, plays the fool, but he's the real leader. His Mangekyo Sharingan ability is Kamui, space-time manipulation that makes him intangible. Jiraiya's eyes widened. How do you? I can sense lies, intentions, hidden truths. It's part of my observation haki. Naruto's expression was serious. Obito is the most dangerous member because I can't hit what I can't touch. My strings, my haki, even the Nine Tails power, all useless if he can just phase through attacks. So what's your plan? That's where you come in. I need information on Kamui's limitations. Every space-time technique has weaknesses. Find them, and I can exploit them. Jiraiya considered carefully. If I help you, it's not because I approve of what you've done. It's because Akatsuki's plan threatens the entire world. If they succeed in collecting all the tailed beasts, they'll reshape reality according to Obito's vision. I know. Kurama told me everything. Naruto's grin was sharp. So help me stop them. Give me the information I need, and when Akatsuki comes, I'll destroy them. You're that confident? I'm that strong, but I'm not stupid. Kamui is a hard counter to my abilities unless I understand it. So help me, and we both get what we want. Akatsuki eliminated. Jiraiya pulled out a scroll. This contains everything I've gathered on Akatsuki members. Abilities, weaknesses, fighting styles. It's incomplete. Some members are still mysteries, but it's the best intelligence available. Naruto accepted the scroll, scanning it quickly with practiced eyes. Itachi Uchiha, Mangekyo Sharingan with Amaterasu Tsukuyomi and Susanoo. Kisame Hoshigaki, massive chakra reserves, Samehada sword. Sasori puppet master with human puppets. Deidara, explosive clay. Kakuzu, multiple hearts and elemental affinities. Hidan, immortality through Jashin religion. He paused at one entry. Nagato Uzumaki, Pain's real body is my cousin? Distant cousin. The Uzumaki bloodline scattered after the clan's destruction. Nagato ended up in Amegakure, suffered tragedy, and now believes Pain will bring peace. How poetic. The last Uzumaki's leading opposing forces. Naruto's laugh was bitter. And here I thought I was alone. You could try talking to him. No, he made his choice when he attacked my village. Family or not, he's my enemy now. Naruto rolled up the scroll. What about Obito's Kamui specifically? Any weaknesses? From what I've observed, he can't maintain intangibility while attacking. There's a brief moment when he becomes solid to strike. That's your window. Also, Kamui requires chakra and concentration. Overwhelm him with continuous attacks, and he might slip. Or I find a way to predict the exact moment he solidifies and strike then. Naruto's mind was already working. Observation Haki lets me sense intent. If I can feel the moment he decides to attack, I can counter before he can phase again. That's actually possible, if you can really see the future. I can't see the future. I sense intent, predict movements, feel killing intent before it manifests. It's close enough. Naruto extended his hand. Thank you, Jiraiya-sensei. This information might be what saves my village. Jiraiya shook his hand, his grip firm. Naruto, I know we can't go back to how things were, but I want you to know, I never wanted this. If I could change what happened, but you can't, and neither can I. So let's just focus on surviving what's coming. Naruto released his hand. When this is over, when Akatsuki is dealt with, maybe we can talk. But until then, we're just two shinobi with a common enemy. Fair enough. Jiraiya turned to leave, then paused. One more thing. The prophecy I mentioned about the child who would change the world. I always thought it was you. I still do. But I never imagined it would be like this. Prophecies are what we make them, Naruto said. I'm changing the world, all right. Just not the way you expected. Not the way anyone expected. After Jiraiya left, Naruto retreated to his private chambers and unrolled the scroll. He studied each Akatsuki member's profile carefully, his strategic mind analyzing capabilities and planning counters. Itachi was formidable but limited by his illness and deteriorating eyesight. Prolonged combat would work against him. Kasame's chakra absorption through Samahata was negated by haki-coded attacks. Sasori's puppets, while numerous, were still just wood and steel, destructible. But Obito was the wild card. Kamui made him effectively untouchable unless Naruto could exploit the split-second vulnerability when he attacked. I need a technique that activates the instant I sense intent, he muttered. Something fast enough that even space-time manipulation can't avoid it. An idea formed. What if he combined his observation haki with his awakened abilities? Create strings throughout the battlefield that would automatically respond to hostile intent, attacking before the enemy could even finish forming the thought. Observation haki can sense intent. Awakening lets me control transformed terrain independently of conscious thought. If I program the strings to attack based on sensed killing intent, he grinned, that might work. An automated defense system that reacts faster than thought. He spent the next week developing the technique, transforming sections of Uzushigakure into dormant string networks that would activate only in his presence. Each thread was connected to his observation haki, programmed to detect intent and respond with haki-coded attacks. Thread Dominion. Auto counter, he named it. Let's see Kamui dodge an attack that happens before you even finish deciding to strike. The defensive preparations continued. Uzushigakure became a fortress, every building reinforced, every street map for awakened transformation, every position fortified. Naruto's 300 shinobi trained relentlessly, learning to coordinate with his Black Knights, practicing retreat and reformation tactics. Zabuza led the close combat specialists. Kimimaro commanded the bloodline users. Mei organized the ranged attackers. Hiruko managed defensive positions with his multiple KK Genkai providing versatile support. We're as ready as we'll ever be, Mei reported 2 weeks after Jiraiya's visit. Full supplies, maximum combat readiness, every defensive seal activated. When they come, they're already here. Naruto's observation haki had just sensed it, multiple massive chakra signatures appearing on the horizon, not approaching gradually, but manifesting suddenly, as if they teleported into range. He moved to the walls, and there they were, 10 figures standing on the water, visible in the distance. The entire Akatsuki organization gathered for one purpose, Pain's 6 paths. Itachi and Kasame, Sasori and Deidara, Kakuzu and Hidan. And 2 figures in the back, a masked man in an orange spiral pattern, and a plant-like being that radiated wrongness, Obito and Zetsu, the true leaders. All of them, Zabuza breathed. They brought everyone. Of course they did. The 9 tails is their ultimate prize. Naruto's grin was manic excited. Fu-fu-fu-fu, finally! A battle worthy of my full strength. He raised his voice, amplified by strings that carried it across the water. Welcome to Uzushogakure. I hope you're prepared, because I'm not the same person you fought before. Pain's voice echoed back, emotionless. Surrender the 9 tails, and we'll spare your village. Resist, and everything you've built will be destroyed. You really think that's how this works? That I'll just hand over Kurama because you threatened me? Naruto's laugh was genuine. Let me tell you how this actually works. You attack, I defend. You push, I push back. And at the end, you'll retreat again, if you survive. Your arrogance will be your downfall, Itachi said calmly. No, my arrogance is justified. There's a difference. Naruto spread his arms wide. Come on then, 10 against 1. Show me what the legendary Akatsuki can do. 10 against 1? Obito's voice was amused behind his mask. You misunderstand. This isn't just us. Look behind you. Naruto's observation haki flared, and he sensed them, root agents emerging from the ocean on the opposite side of the island. Danzo had coordinated with Akatsuki, using their assault as cover for another assassination attempt. And from the north, more chakra signatures. Kumo forces, not B this time, but A himself with his personal guard. The Raikage had decided to take the 9 tails by force. 3 different forces, attacking simultaneously from 3 directions. Hundreds of enemies, including multiple S-rank threats. Any normal village would have been overwhelmed instantly. Any normal shinobi would have despaired. Naruto laughed until tears streamed down his face. This is beautiful. Beautiful. You've all coordinated to attack me at once. You've brought your strongest forces, your most dangerous fighters, your complete arsenals. He spread his arms wide, strings beginning to glow with red chakra. You've done exactly what I wanted, given me permission to show my absolute strength without restraint. He raised both hands high, awakening birdcage. The massive string dome descended from the sky, but this time it was different. Infused with 9 tails chakra, coated in armament haki, the strings were visible as glowing crimson threads that formed a cage encompassing the entire island and the surrounding ocean for a kilometer in all directions. Everyone, Akatsuki, Root, Kumo forces, was trapped inside. This is my territory now, Naruto announced, his voice carrying to every corner of the cage. These strings are indestructible to anyone without armament haki, which means all of you. They'll slowly contract, cutting through everything in their path. You have 1 hour to defeat me, or you'll all be sliced apart. He landed on his palace roof, pink coat billowing dramatically. So come on, all of you at once. Show me what you've got. The Akatsuki moved first. Pain's 6 paths split up, each one attacking from different angles, while the other members provided support. Itachi and Kasame went left, Sasori and Deidara went right, Kakuzu and Hidan charged center, Obito and Zetsu hung back. From the north, the Raikage led his forces in a devastating charge, lightning cloak blazing. From the south, root agents used stealth techniques to infiltrate the village proper, and Naruto stood in the center of it all, grinning like a madman. Black Knight! Not 10 clones this time, not 20. 50 identical string clones materialized, each one as strong as Naruto himself, each one capable of using every technique independently. Thread Dominion, Auto Counter, Activate. The entire island transformed. Buildings became strings, roads liquefied into threads. Even the air seemed to shimmer with invisible filaments. And all of it was programmed to respond to hostile intent with lethal force. The first root agent who threw a kunai found strings erupting from the ground beneath him, impaling him before the weapon left his hand. The auto counter had sensed his killing intent and responded faster than thought. What is this? One of Kumo's jonin shouted as strings shot from walls, floors, even the sky itself, attacking anyone who showed hostile intent. This is my ultimate defense, Naruto explained, his voice echoing everywhere at once. Observation haki detects your intent to attack. Awakening gives me control over the terrain. Combined, I've created a battlefield that attacks you automatically the instant you think about attacking me. Welcome to Thread Dominion, where thought becomes reality and your reality is death. Pain's Ashura Path fired missiles, but strings intercepted them mid-flight, the auto counter responding to the hostile intent behind the attack. The animal path summoned creatures, but they were shredded the moment they appeared, killed by automated defensive strings. Shinra Tensei. The Deva Path's repulsive force exploded outward, clearing strings in a wide radius. But Naruto had anticipated this. His observation haki had sensed the intent, and he was already moving. Overheat! His massive string whip carved through the space where the Deva path stood, forcing it to dodge. The whip continued, wrapped around a building, and Naruto used it to pull himself forward with incredible speed. 5 color strings! The attack came from his new position, catching the Prita path off guard. The strings cut deep, but the body's absorption ability activated, trying to drain the chakra from the strings. Unfortunately for you, haki isn't chakra, Naruto said. You can't absorb what you don't understand. Bullet string! The focused attack pierced through the Prita path's absorption technique, punching a hole clean through the body. It collapsed, one of Pain's 6 paths eliminated. Meanwhile, his Black Knights engaged the other threats. 10 fought the Raikage's forces, matching their lightning techniques with haki-coated defenses. 20 engaged Akatsuki members, using coordinated attacks that required the S-rank criminals to fight seriously. The remaining 20 hunted root agents through the transformed streets. Systematically eliminating Danzo's forces, Itachi activated his Mangekyo Sharingan. Amaterasu! Black flames erupted around Naruto, the inextinguishable fire of the Sharingan's most deadly technique. But Naruto had fought Itachi before. His observation haki predicted the attack. Awakening, flap thread. The ground beneath him launched upward, transformed strings, creating a platform that shot him above the flames before they could touch him. He was already forming his next attack while airborne. 16 holy bullets, God thread. The 16 massive strings shot toward Itachi with devastating force. Itachi's Susanoo manifested, the red skeletal warrior forming around him. The string struck the defense, and this time, enhanced with Nine-Tail chakra and armament haki, they shattered the Susanoo's ribs. Itachi coughed blood, the backlash from Susanoo's damage affecting him directly. Impossible. Even enhanced Susanoo can't withstand those strings. Nothing can withstand them, Naruto said, because they're not just chakra or physical force. They're will made manifest, and my will is absolute. Kasame tried to capitalize on Itachi's injury, swinging Samahata in a warp meant to absorb chakra, but the blade recoiled when it touched Naruto's haki-coated strings. It couldn't absorb what it didn't recognize as chakra. Your sword is useless against me, Kasame. It feeds on chakra, but haki isn't chakra. It's something else entirely. Naruto's grin was sharp. Parasite! Strings shot from multiple angles, attempting to bind Kasame. The Shark Man dodged with impressive speed, but Naruto's observation haki tracked every movement. You can't dodge what I've already seen. Spider's web. The entire area filled with strings, creating a 3-dimensional maze of cutting threads. Kasame tried to use water release to escape, but the strings were haki-coated. Water didn't affect them. Water prison jutsu won't save you when the prison itself is made of strings, Naruto said. Surrender or die, Kasame. Your choice. Meanwhile, the Raikage had broken through Naruto's Black Knights, his lightning release chakra mode making him incredibly fast and powerful. He charged directly at Naruto, fist cocked back. I don't know what kind of tricks you're using, but nothing beats raw power and speed, lariat. The devastating clothesline attack came faster than sound, the Raikage's arm crackling with concentrated lightning. But Naruto didn't try to dodge. Armament haki, full body. His entire form turned black, the invisible armor becoming visible. When the Raikage's lariat connected, it was like hitting solid steel. The impact created a shockwave, but Naruto didn't budge. Impressive speed, impressive power, but armament haki is the ultimate defense. Your lightning can't penetrate it. Naruto grabbed the Raikage's arm before he could retreat. Now, let me show you what happens when you challenge the heavenly demon. Overheat. His free hand transformed into a string whip, and he lashed the Raikage point blank. The lightning release chakra mode protected partially, but the haki-enhanced whip still drew blood, cutting through A's legendary durability. The Raikage stumbled back, eyes wide. You actually hurt me through my armor. Of course I did. Haki trumps all defenses. Now, will you retreat, or do I need to kill you to make my point? But before A could respond, Obito made his move. He appeared behind Naruto in a spiral of space-time distortion, hand extended to grab him. Gotcha, Obito said. Kamui. But Naruto's observation haki had sensed the intent the instant before Obito decided to attack. And Thread Dominion's auto-counter responded faster than conscious thought. Strings erupted from the ground the instant Obito began to solidify for the grab, before he could even complete the motion. The threads punched through his torso, and Obito's eyes widened in shock behind his mask. How? Observation Haki senses intent before action, Naruto explained calmly. Auto-counter responds to intent automatically. You can phase through attacks, Obito, but you can't phase through an attack that happens before you finish deciding to attack. Your Kamui is useless against a defense system that reads minds. Obito tried to phase, but the strings were already inside him, and pulling them out would cause massive damage. He was trapped. You lose, Naruto said. The legendary Tobi, defeated by strings and prediction. How anticlimactic. But then Obito smiled behind his mask. You really think it's that simple? The body impaled on the strings suddenly dissolved into white matter, a Zetsu clone, not the real Obito. The actual masked man appeared on a nearby rooftop, completely unharmed. Clever, Obito admitted. You actually caught me off guard. But I've been fighting for decades. I know better than to attack directly without testing the waters first. Fu. Of course you'd use a clone. That's exactly what I would do. Naruto's grin widened. This is why you're the real threat, Obito. You don't underestimate opponents. You test, probe, learn. But here's the thing. I do the same. And now I know your Kamui has a tell. You hesitate fractionally before solidifying to attack. My observation Haki caught it. And now I know your auto-counter can't distinguish between clones and the real thing, Obito countered. We're learning each other's abilities. This is going to be a fascinating fight. Around them, the battle raged. Pain's remaining paths were being systematically destroyed by Naruto's Black Knights. Deidara's explosions were being countered by awakened string shields. Sasori's puppets were being shredded faster than he could deploy them. The Kumo forces were in retreat, the Raikage badly injured, and his troops decimated by Thread Dominion's automated defenses. The root agents were nearly wiped out, only a handful escaping the island before the birdcage contracted further, but Akatsuki's core members were still fighting, still dangerous. Let's escalate, Naruto said. I've been holding back, using techniques individually. Time to combine everything. Nine-Tails chakra mode. The red chakra shroud exploded around him, forming the perfect Nine-Tails cloak. But this time, it merged with his awakened abilities, creating something new. His strings glowed crimson, the entire transformed battlefield pulsed with red energy, and his Black Knights shifted into Nine-Tails enhanced versions. Awakening, Crimson Thread Dominion. The entire island transformed completely. Every surface became glowing red strings infused with the Nine-Tails of chakra. The auto-counter system intensified, responding not just to killing intent, but to any hostile thought whatsoever. This is my ultimate form, Naruto announced. The fusion of every ability I possess, string manipulation, Haki, Nine-Tails chakra, awakened powers, all combined into one overwhelming force. Can you handle it, Akatsuki? Pain's Devapath raised both hands. Chibaku Tensei! A black sphere shot into the sky, and immediately gravity reversed. Everything, buildings, streets, even the air itself, began being pulled toward the sphere. It was Pain's ultimate technique, the same one that had sealed the Nine-Tails years ago. But Naruto had the Nine-Tails inside him, and Kurama had no intention of being sealed again. Not this time, the fox's voice roared through Naruto. We're not letting you seal us again, Nagato. Combined with Naruto's will, the Nine-Tails chakra exploded outward. Crimson Birdcage inversion. Instead of contracting, the birdcage's strings shot toward the Chibaku Tensei, wrapping around the gravitational core. Haki-coated strings infused with the Nine-Tails power versus the Rinnegan's sealing technique. An impossible clash of forces. The sky itself seemed to tear as the two techniques fought for dominance. Buildings suspended in mid-air, gravity fluctuating wildly, reality warping around the conflicting powers. And then Naruto poured more chakra into it. 16 holy bullets. God Thread. Full burst. 16 massive crimson strings shot toward the Chibaku Tensei, each one carrying enough destructive force to level mountains. They struck the gravitational core simultaneously, and the technique shattered. The explosion of released energy created a shockwave that flattened everything within 100 meters. When the dust cleared, Pain's Devapath was lying broken on the ground, the technique's failure having damaged the body beyond repair. 3 of the 6 paths destroyed, Naruto counted. How many more can you lose before the technique becomes useless, Nagato? From somewhere beyond the battlefield, in his hidden chamber, Nagato coughed blood. Controlling the 6 paths was draining, and losing 3 had taken a massive toll. But he couldn't retreat, not yet. The 9 tails was too valuable. All remaining paths, simultaneous assault, he commanded. The 3 surviving pain bodies attacked in perfect coordination. Human path from above, animal path from the left, and Naraka path from the right. Different abilities, different angles, impossible to counter all at once. Except Naruto had 50 Black Knights, Thread Dominion covering the entire battlefield, and observation haki that saw every attack before it happened. Black Knights, Formation Delta. His clones moved with military precision, creating a defensive wall that intercepted all 3 paths. The human path's soul extraction technique couldn't work on string clones. The animal path's summons were shredded by automated defenses. The Naraka path's revival ability was useless when the destroyed clones simply reformed. You can't win this, Nagato, Naruto called out. Even if you destroy my Black Knights, I'll just make more. Even if you break through Thread Dominion, I'll just rebuild it. Even if you somehow get past all my defenses, you still have to deal with me and Kurama together. You're fighting an unwinnable battle. Then I'll use my trump card. Pain's voice echoed from all remaining bodies at once. Suddenly, all 3 surviving Pain bodies exploded in massive releases of chakra. They weren't destroyed. They were transforming, merging their abilities into a single ultimate technique. Forbidden Art, 6-path summoning. A massive figure emerged from the chakra. Not a summoned creature, but an amalgamation of all 6 paths abilities compressed into one form. It stood 3 stories tall, crackling with the Renegade's power, capable of using every technique simultaneously. This is my final technique. Nagato's voice came from the massive construct. Every ability of the Renegade combined into one body. If this doesn't defeat you, nothing will. Naruto stared up at the massive construct, and his grin was absolutely manic. Finally, a technique worthy of my ultimate ability. Let me show you what I've been saving. He planted both hands on the ground, and his chakra exploded outward with such force that it created a crater. The Nine Tails cloak intensified, forming a perfect miniature Nine Tails around him. Every string and thread dominion glowed blindingly bright. This is my ultimate technique, the combination of everything I've learned and everything I am. Awakening, God Thread Paradigm. The entire island underwent a complete transformation. Not just the surface, but the fundamental nature of the space itself. Reality within the birdcage warped as strings became the basic building blocks of existence. Matter, energy, even chakra itself, all converted to threads under Naruto's absolute control. In this space, I don't just control strings, Naruto announced. I am the strings. Every atom, every particle, every fundamental force, all of it responds to my will. This is true godhood, Nagato. This is what it means to stand at the absolute peak of power. The Six Paths construct tried to use Shinra Tensei, but the repulsive force was converted to strings before it could manifest. It tried to absorb techniques with Pretapath, but there was nothing to absorb. The entire battlefield was Naruto's body. Impossible, Naruto whispered from his chamber. This ability, it transcends the Rinnegan. Of course it does. Naruto's laugh was triumphant. The Rinnegan is powerful, but it's still bound by the rules of this world. My abilities come from somewhere else, somewhere beyond your understanding. And in my domain, I make the rules. He raised both hands, and the entire battlefield responded. Strings erupted from every direction. Ground, sky, buildings, air itself, all converging on the Six Paths construct. Crimson God Thread, execution. Thousands of hockey-coated, nine-tails enhanced, awakening-powered strings struck simultaneously. The construct tried to defend, using every ability of the Rinnegan at once. But it was fighting reality itself, and reality obeyed Naruto. The strings pierced through every defense, wrapped around every limb, impaled every chakra point. Within seconds, the massive construct was completely bound, unable to move, unable to fight, unable to do anything but await judgment. Yield, Naruto commanded, or I'll crush this construct and force you to watch your ultimate technique fail. In his chamber, Nagato hesitated. He'd poured everything into this fight. all his chakra, all his techniques, all his determination, but he was facing something impossible, something that defied all logic and reason. Why? He asked, his voice carrying through the construct. Why go this far? What do you hope to achieve with all this power? Everything, Naruto answered honestly. I want recognition, respect, security. I want a throne that can't be toppled and a kingdom that can't be destroyed. I want to prove that the Uzumaki clan's legacy didn't die with Uzushigakure's destruction. And most of all, his voice became deadly serious. I want to make sure that no one ever has the power to hurt me or mine again. And you think overwhelming force is the answer? I think it's the only answer this world understands. You of all people should know that, Nagato. You've seen war, suffered loss, experienced pain, and what did you learn? That pain leads to understanding? That suffering brings peace? Naruto's laugh was bitter. No, you learned that power is everything. The Rinnegan, the six paths, your God complex, all of it is just you trying to force the world to submit to your vision. He gestured at the bound construct. We're the same, you and I. Two Uzumakis who lost everything, who suffered at the hands of a cruel world, who decided that only absolute power could prevent future suffering. The only difference is that I'm honest about it. I don't pretend my methods are righteous. I simply acknowledge the truth. Might makes right, and I am mighty. Nagato was silent for a long moment. Then slowly, the construct began to dissolve. You're right. We are the same. And perhaps that's why I can't beat you, because you've embraced what I've been denying, that this path leads nowhere but more suffering. Then stop fighting and leave, Naruto said. Akatsuki's plan was doomed from the start. You can't force peace through pain, you can only build it through strength. The strength to protect what matters, not destroy what doesn't. The pain bodies collapsed, chakra exhausted, techniques spent. Around the battlefield, the other Akatsuki members had been similarly defeated. Itachi unconscious from Mangekyo overuse, Kasame barely alive, Sasori's core shattered, Deidara out of explosive clay. Only Obito remained, watching from a safe distance with calculating eyes. Interesting, the masked man said. You've defeated pain, beaten back 2 villages, and established your dominance. But this isn't over, Naruto Uzumaki. My plan continues regardless. Then come back when you're ready, Naruto called out. I'll be waiting. And next time, bring a better strategy than throw bodies at him until he tires, because I don't tire, I don't falter, and I certainly don't lose. Obito stared at him for a long moment, then vanished in a spiral of space-time distortion. He'd learned what he needed to. This Jinchuriki was far more dangerous than anticipated. The plan would need to be adjusted. As the last Akatsuki member disappeared, the birdcage began to dissipate. The crimson strings faded, Thread Dominion reverted to normal terrain, and the Nine-Tails chakra receded. Naruto stood in the center of his destroyed village, breathing hard but victorious. Around him, his forces began emerging from defensive positions, battered, exhausted, but alive. We won, Mei said, approaching with a medical team. We actually won against all of them. Of course we did, Naruto grinned. I told you, in my territory, I'm unbeatable, and this is my territory. The aftermath of the battle was extensive. 23 Uzushiogakure shinobi dead, another 40 wounded. But considering they'd faced Akatsuki, Root, and Kumo simultaneously, the casualties were remarkably light. The captured enemies were a different matter. They had multiple Akatsuki members in custody. Pain's bodies, Kasame, a wounded Itachi, Sasori's remains, Deidara. The Root agents who'd been captured numbered 15. The Kumo forces had left behind 30 prisoners when they retreated. What do we do with them? Zabuza asked, standing guard over the imprisoned Akatsuki members. Naruto considered carefully. The Kumo prisoners get returned to A with a message. Attack me again and I won't show mercy. The Root agents get sent back to Konoha. Let Tsunade deal with Danzo's latest failure. And Akatsuki? Keep them secured for now. I want to talk to Nagato personally once he recovers. And Itachi? Naruto looked at the unconscious Uchiha. He's dying anyway, isn't he? His illness is advanced, his eyesight nearly gone. Keeping him prisoner serves no purpose. You're letting him go? No, I'm making him an offer. Naruto's grin was calculating. Itachi Uchiha, the man who massacred his clan for Konoha's sake. I wonder what he'd do if given a chance at redemption? 2 days later, When Itachi regained consciousness, he found himself in a comfortable room rather than a cell. Naruto was waiting, sitting across from the bed with his characteristic pink coat and sunglasses. "You're awake," Naruto observed. "Good. We need to talk." "If you're going to execute me, just do it," Itachi said calmly. "I've made my peace with death. I'm not going to execute you. I'm going to make you an offer." Naruto leaned forward. "I know about the massacre. I know Danzo ordered it, that you killed your clan to prevent a coup, that you've been living as a missing nin to protect Sasuke and serve Konoha's interests." Itachi's eyes widened fractionally, the most emotion Naruto had ever seen from him. "How do you? I have my sources. And before you ask, yes, I know about your illness. You're dying, Itachi. Maybe a year left, maybe less. Your eyesight is deteriorating, your body is failing, and there's nothing you can do to stop it." "Then what's the offer?" "Work for me. Not as a prisoner or a slave, but as an ally. Use what time you have left to help build Uzumaki into something worthy of the Uchiha name. And in exchange, I'll make sure Sasuke knows the truth about you. Sasuke hates me. That was the point." "No, the point was protecting him from the truth about Konoha's corruption. But I can give you something better, a chance for him to understand why you did what you did without the hatred." Naruto's expression was serious. "I can arrange for Sasuke to learn the truth from a neutral source. Not me, not you, but someone who can present the facts objectively. He'll still be angry, but he'll understand. Isn't that better than dying with him, believing you're a monster?" Itachi was silent for a long time. "What would you want me to do?" "Training programs for our shinobi. Your genjutsu expertise could revolutionize our defensive capabilities. Intelligence gathering. You've been in Akatsuki for years. You know their secrets. And most importantly, I want you to help Sasuke when he inevitably comes looking for you." "Help him how?" "By showing him what real strength looks like. Not the strength of hatred and revenge, but the strength of purpose and conviction. Show him that power without direction is meaningless." Naruto stood, extending his hand. "1 year, Itachi. Give me 1 year of your service and I'll give you closure with your brother. Deal?" Itachi stared at the offered hand. It was manipulative, calculated, designed to exploit his one weakness, his love for Sasuke. But it was also genuine. This boy actually believed he could give Itachi what he thought impossible. 1 year, Itachi agreed, shaking Naruto's hand. "But if you betray this agreement, you'll kill me with Amaterasu." "I know. I'm counting on it. Keeps me honest." Naruto's grin was sharp. "Welcome to Uzumaki, Itachi Uchiha. Try not to die before the year is up." With Itachi secured, Naruto turned his attention to the other captive, Nagato. The real pain was being held in a specially prepared chamber, his emaciated body connected to various medical devices that kept him alive. Konan stood guard, refusing to leave his side despite being a prisoner herself. "Naruto Uzumaki," Nagato said when Naruto entered. His voice was weak, body ravaged by years of Rinnegan use. "You defeated me completely. What happens now?" "Now we talk. Cousin to cousin." Naruto pulled up a chair, sitting casually despite the guard's nervous tension. "You wanted to use pain to bring peace. I want to use strength to ensure security. Different methods, similar goals. But your plan had a fatal flaw. You were trying to force the world to change. I'm just building something strong enough to survive the world as it is. And you think that's better? I think it's realistic. You can't change human nature, Nagato. People will always fight, always compete, always seek power. The best you can do is create a structure strong enough to contain that violence, channel it productively. That's what I'm building. Not peace through pain, but order through strength." Nagato coughed, blood flecking his lips. "And what do you want from me?" "Your knowledge, your experience, your perspective." Naruto leaned forward. "You've seen more of this world's darkness than almost anyone. You understand pain, suffering, loss. Use that understanding to help me build something better. Not perfect. Nothing is perfect, but better than what came before. You want me to help build your empire. I want you to help build our clan's legacy. We're the last Uzumakis, Nagato. When we die, the bloodline ends. Shouldn't we leave something behind? Something more than destruction and pain?" Konan spoke up for the first time. "Why should we trust you? You're just another warlord seeking power." "You're right, I am," Naruto admitted freely. "But I'm an honest warlord. I don't pretend my methods are righteous. I don't claim moral superiority. I simply acknowledge reality and work within it. That honesty is worth more than false promises of peace through suffering. He stood, moving toward the door. Think about it. You have time. Your body won't last more than a few years anyway. Might as well spend them building instead of destroying. And Conan, you're welcome to stay or go. But if you stay, you follow Uzushigakure's rules. Clear? After leaving Nagato's chamber, Naruto retreated to his throne room for the first time in days. The battle had been won, his dominance established, his enemies scattered or captured. But the victory felt hollow somehow. You're thinking about your mother again, Kurama's voice rumbled from within the seal. How did you know? Because you always do after major battles, wondering if she'd be proud or ashamed. Naruto was quiet for a moment. Would she? Kushina was fierce, protective, and valued strength. But she also believed in protecting the weak, in compassion for those who deserved it. Kurama's tone was thoughtful. I think she'd be conflicted, proud of your strength, worried about your methods, hopeful for your future. That's not helpful. It's honest, which is what you value, right? The fox's laugh was rumbling. You've built something impressive here, kid. A village from ruins, an army from nothing, a reputation that makes the great nations nervous. Kushina would recognize the achievement even if she questioned the methods. And the Uzumaki clan, would they be proud that I've restored their name? They'd be proud you survived, that you didn't let the world break you, that you turned tragedy into triumph. Kurama's voice became serious, but they'd also want you to remember why the clan was respected in the first place. Not just strength, but wisdom. Not just power, but purpose. Wise words from a giant fox. I've been alive for over 1,000 years. I've seen empires rise and fall. Heroes become villains, villains become legends. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that power without purpose is just destruction waiting to happen. Naruto considered this carefully. Then what should my purpose be? That's for you to decide. But might I suggest, ensuring the Uzumaki legacy means something more than just we were strong. Make it mean something lasting. The conversation was interrupted by Mei's arrival. We have visitors. Again. But these ones are unexpected. Who? Gaara of the Sand. He came alone, says he wants to talk to you personally. Naruto's eyebrows rose. The youngest Kage, former Jinchuriki of the One Tail, coming alone to meet him. Either this was a diplomatic overture or a very elaborate assassination attempt. He met Gaara on the reconstructed beach, away from the village proper. The young Kazekage stood with his arms crossed, sand already swirling defensively around him. Naruto Uzumaki, Gaara said in his characteristic monotone. I've heard a lot about you. Gaara of the Sand, One-Tail Jinchuriki, youngest Kage in history, master of sand manipulation. Naruto grinned. I've heard about you too. What brings you to my humble village? Curiosity and a proposal. Gaara's expression was as neutral as ever. I was like you once, alone, hated, turned into a weapon by my village. The One-Tail's madness made me a monster. Everyone feared me. No one understood me. But that changed? Yes. I found people who saw past the monster to the person underneath, who believed I could be more than just a weapon. His teal eyes focused on Naruto. You've taken a different path. Instead of seeking acceptance, you demanded respect. Instead of proving you weren't a monster, you became one so terrifying that people had no choice but to acknowledge your power. And you disapprove? No. I understand. If things had gone differently, I might have chosen the same path. Gaara stepped closer, but I came to offer an alternative. Suna and Uzushiokure could benefit from an alliance. Not as master and servant, but as equals. Two villages led by former Jinchuriki, both understanding what it means to be turned into weapons. Naruto studied Gaara carefully with observation haki. No deception, no hidden intent, just genuine desire for cooperation. An alliance. What terms? Mutual defense pact. Trade agreements. Intelligence sharing on threats like Akatsuki. And most importantly, a united front against villages that would exploit Jinchuriki as weapons. Gaara's sand shifted patterns. Konoha, Kumo, Iwa, they all see Jinchuriki as tools to be used. But we know better. We are people, not weapons. An alliance between us sends a message. Those days are over. Interesting proposal. Naruto's mind was already calculating the benefits. Suna had resource Uzushiogakure needed. Trade routes, mineral deposits, political connections. But I don't do subordinate relationships. If we ally, we're equals. No greater partner. Agreed. Equals. Gaara extended his hand. Do we have a deal? Naruto shook it firmly. We do. Welcome to the family, Gaara. Let's show the 5 great nations what happens when Jinchuriki work together instead of being used against each other. Over the following months, Uzushigakure's transformation continued. The alliance with Suna opened new opportunities, trade routes, diplomatic connections, shared intelligence. Gaara proved a valuable ally, and the combined influence of 2 villages led by former Jinchuriki created political waves. Itachi's contributions to training programs elevated Uzushigakure's genjutsu capabilities significantly. Nagato, still recovering but slowly being swayed by Naruto's vision, provided insights into sealing techniques that combined Uzumaki expertise with Rinnegan understanding. The village population grew to over 2,000, with more arriving weekly. Word had spread. Uzushiogakure was a place where strength was respected, where bloodlines weren't persecuted, where the strong protected the weak rather than exploiting them. Naruto continued developing his abilities. The combination of string manipulation, haki, Nine-Tails chakra, and awakened powers made him arguably the strongest shinobi alive. But he didn't rest on that achievement. He pushed further, experimenting with new techniques, refining old ones, constantly evolving. You're restless, May observed one evening as they reviewed expansion plans. We've achieved everything you said you wanted: recognition, respect, security. Why do you seem unsatisfied? Because it's not enough, Naruto admitted. We've built a strong village. Yes, we've established ourselves as a legitimate power. But we're still just one village among many. One strong gust from the great nations, and everything could collapse. So what more do you want? Permanence, legacy, something that will last beyond my lifetime. He gestured at the map spread before them. Right now, Uzushigakure exists because I'm strong enough to protect it. But what happens when I'm gone? Will the village survive, or will it be destroyed again like the original Uzushigakure? You're thinking long term. Always. The difference between a warlord and a founder is legacy. Warlords build empires that die with them. Founders create institutions that outlast their creators. Naruto's grin was sharp. I don't want to be remembered as a warlord who briefly disrupted the status quo. I want to be remembered as the founder of something permanent. Then we need to think bigger than just military strength. Exactly. Economic influence, political alliances, cultural impact, all of it matters. We need to make Uzushigakure so embedded in the world's systems that destroying it becomes impossible. Their planning was interrupted by urgent knocking. Karen entered, her sensor abilities detecting something wrong. Naruto-sama, we have a situation. There's a massive chakra signature approaching from the west. It's enormous, bigger than anything I've sensed before. Naruto's observation haki flared, and he sensed it. A presence so vast it dwarfed even the Nine-Tails. Ancient, powerful, and heading directly toward Uzushigakure, he moved to the window and saw it on the horizon. A figure walking across the ocean, chakra so dense it was visible as a purple aura. As it approached, details became clear. Gray hair, red armor, Sharingan eyes. Madara Uchiha, Naruto breathed. Or someone using his name. The figure stopped 100 meters from the shore, standing on the water's surface. When he spoke, his voice carried with unnatural amplification. Naruto Uzumaki, I am Madara Uchiha, and I have come to extend an offer. Join me in reshaping this world, or be destroyed when I activate the infinite Tsukuyomi. Naruto laughed, the sound theatrical and mocking. Fufufu, Madara Uchiha? The legendary founder of Konoha, supposedly dead for decades? Either you're lying about your identity, or you've been hiding for years planning some grand scheme. Either way, I'm not impressed. You should be, Madara replied calmly. I possess the Rinnegan, the most powerful dujutsu in existence. I have mastered every Uchiha technique, acquired powers beyond your comprehension. With the infinite Tsukuyomi, I will create a world without suffering, without pain, without loss. A genjutsu world where everyone lives in dreams? How original. Naruto's tone was dripping with sarcasm. Let me guess, you think forcing everyone into illusions will solve all problems? That's even more naive than Pain's plan. You dare mock me? I dare do whatever I want in my territory. If you're really Madara Uchiha, if you really have the power you claim, then prove it. Attack me. Let's see if your legendary strength matches your legendary arrogance. Madara's Sharingan spun, and suddenly the sky turned dark. Massive meteors appeared overhead, summoned from space itself, the legendary Tengai Shinsei technique. Very well, witness true power. The meteors fell toward Uzushigakure with apocalyptic force. Any normal village would have been obliterated instantly. But Naruto had prepared for exactly this kind of threat. Awakening, Thread Dominion, full deployment. The entire island transformed in an instant. Buildings, streets, even the ocean for kilometers around, all converted to strings under Naruto's control. The awakened strings shot upward, forming a massive net that caught the falling meteors. The impact was tremendous, but the string net held, distributing the force across millions of individual threads. Then Naruto clenched his fists, and the net compressed, crushing the meteors into rubble before they could reach the village. Meteor summons? That's your opening move? Naruto's grin was wild. Let me show you what real power looks like. Birdcage! The massive dome descended, trapping both combatants within its confines. But this wasn't the normal birdcage. This one was enhanced with Nine-Tails chakra, coated in armament haki, and connected to Thread Dominion. The strings were visible as glowing crimson threads that created an inescapable cage. In here, you can't escape, Naruto announced. No matter what space-time techniques you have, no matter what power you possess, you're trapped until one of us yields or dies. Madara activated his Susanoo, the complete warrior form, massive and terrible. It dwarfed the Nine-Tails itself, a perfect humanoid construct wielding weapons that could split mountains. Impressive cage. But can it withstand this? The Susanoo sword came down with devastating force, attempting to cut through the birdcage's strings. But haki-coated strings, enhanced with the Nine-Tails' power, held firm. The sword struck the cage and stopped, unable to penetrate the defense. Impossible! Madara's eyes widened. Even perfect Susanoo can't break through? I told you, these strings are beyond your understanding. They're not chakra, not physical matter. They're will made manifest, determination given form, and my will is absolute. Naruto thrust both hands forward. Black Knight, full army. Not 50 clones this time. 100 identical string constructs materialized, all enhanced with Nine-Tails chakra, all coated in armament haki. They surrounded Madara's Susanoo from every angle. 100 perfect clones, each as strong as me, each capable of using every technique independently. Can your Susanoo handle that, Madara? The Black Knights attacked in waves, coordinated perfectly through Naruto's observation haki. Strings shot from every direction, seeking weak points in the Susanoo's armor. The massive construct tried to defend, but 100 separate attackers using precognitive sensing was overwhelming. Madara was forced to activate his most powerful technique. Wood release, advent of a world of flowering trees. Massive trees erupted throughout the cage, their branches producing flowers that released sleep-inducing pollen. It was Hashirama's signature technique, somehow acquired by Madara, but Naruto had anticipated something like this. Armament haki blocks all environmental effects. Your pollen is useless. He gestured, and his Black Knights began systematically destroying the trees, cutting through them with haki-coated strings that wood release couldn't resist. You have Hashirama cells, don't you? Naruto observed. That's how you're using wood release. Clever, but it won't save you. 16 holy bullets, God thread. The 16 massive strings shot toward Madara with apocalyptic force, each one carrying enough power to destroy a small mountain. Madara's Susanoo raised its shield, but the God Thread technique punched straight through, shattering the defense. How? Madara couldn't comprehend it. Perfect Susanoo is the ultimate defense. Nothing should penetrate it. Nothing in this world, Naruto corrected, but my abilities come from beyond your understanding. Haki transcends chakra. It's not bound by your world's rules. He intensified the attack. Crimson God Thread, execution! The 16 strings multiplied into hundreds, all glowing with Nine-Tails chakra, all coated in armament haki. They wrapped around the Susanoo like a spider's web, binding it completely. Madara tried to dispel the construct and escape, but the strings were too fast, too numerous. Within seconds, even the legendary Madara Uchiha was trapped, bound by strings that he couldn't break with any technique he possessed. Yield, Naruto commanded, or I'll crush you along with your Susanoo. Madara struggled against the strings, but they were inexorable. His Sharingan spun frantically, trying to find a weakness and escape. anything. You're strong, he admitted grudgingly. Stronger than I anticipated. But this isn't my true body. I can't be killed so easily. I know. I can sense the difference between your chakra and the body you're using. Edo Tensei, isn't it? Reanimation technique. You're already dead, brought back as an immortal warrior. Naruto's grin was sharp. But being immortal doesn't mean being invincible. I can seal you, trap you, bind you for eternity if necessary. You wouldn't dare try me. I have Uzumaki sealing techniques that can trap even the Nine Tails. An Edo Tensei body? That's child's play. He gestured, and sealing formulas began appearing on the strings binding Madara. Last chance. Yield and leave, or get sealed and spend eternity trapped in my storage vault. For the first time, something like uncertainty flickered in Madara's eyes. This boy was serious, and the sealing chakra building around the strings felt genuine, powerful enough to actually contain him. You win this round, Madara conceded. But the infinite Tsukuyomi will still happen. You can't stop it. Maybe not. But I can stop you. Naruto released the binding slightly, enough to let Madara dispel his Susanoo and retreat, but not enough to attack. Leave Uzushiogakure alone. Find someone else to recruit for your Genjutsu world, because I'm not interested. Madara stared at him for a long moment, then laughed. Interesting. Very interesting. You remind me of myself at your age. Arrogant, powerful, convinced of your own invincibility. We'll meet again, Naruto Uzumaki. And next time, I'll be prepared for your strange abilities. He vanished in a swirl of space-time distortion, leaving Naruto alone in the dissipating birdcage. That could have gone worse, Kurama rumbled. You actually intimidated Madara Uchiha. I'm impressed. He was testing me, just like everyone else, probing my abilities, learning my limits. Naruto dismissed his Black Knights. But I showed him enough to make attacking me more trouble than it's worth. That's the point. Not to win every battle decisively, but to make fighting me so costly that even the strongest opponents think twice. Strategic thinking. You're learning. I'm adapting. This world is full of monsters like Madara, like Obito, like whatever other ancient evils are hiding in the shadows. I can't beat all of them through pure force. I need to make myself too troublesome to be worth eliminating. The confrontation with Madara marked a turning point. Word spread that Naruto Uzumaki had fought the legendary Madara Uchiha to a standstill, had trapped him with sealing techniques and forced his retreat. The already fearsome reputation of the heavenly demon grew even more. Diplomatic overtures increased. Smaller villages requested alliances, hoping Uzushigakure's protection would keep larger threats away. Merchants sought trade agreements, knowing that backing from Naruto made their caravans untouchable. Even some great nations began informal communications, testing the waters for potential cooperation, but the most significant development came from an unexpected source. 3 months after the Madara confrontation, Sasuke Uchiha arrived at Uzushigakure's gates. He came alone, Kusanagi's sword on his back, Sharingan active. Guards immediately surrounded him, weapons drawn, but Sasuke made no aggressive moves. I'm here to see Naruto Uzumaki, he said flatly. And my brother. I know Itachi is here. Naruto met him in the throne room, with Itachi standing silently to one side. The two Uchiha brothers locked eyes for the first time in years, and the tension was palpable. Sasuke, Naruto said pleasantly. Long time no see. How's Orochimaru? Dead. I killed him and took his power. Sasuke's Sharingan shifted to the Mangekyo pattern. I'm strong now, strong enough to take revenge, and I came here because someone told me the truth about Itachi. Oh? What truth would that be? That he didn't massacre the Uchiha clan for power or madness. That he did it on Konoha's orders to prevent a coup. That he's been protecting me this whole time while living as a criminal. Sasuke's fists clenched. Is it true? Itachi finally spoke. Yes, everything you've heard is true. I killed our clan, our parents, everyone, but not for the reasons you thought. It was a mission to prevent civil war. And you just accepted that? You just murdered everyone because some old men in Konoha said it was necessary. I did what I believed would protect you in the village. Whether that was right or wrong, Itachi coughed, blood flecking his lips. I'm not sure anymore. Naruto watched the interaction carefully with observation haki, sensing the conflict in both brothers. Sasuke, why did you come here? If you wanted revenge on Itachi, you could have found him anywhere. Why my village specifically? Because I want answers. Real answers, not propaganda or manipulation. Sasuke turned to Naruto. You're outside the village system. You have no reason to lie to protect Konoha's reputation. So tell me, was what Itachi did justified? Justified? No. Necessary? Maybe. Naruto shrugged. Konoha's leadership feared a coup that would destabilize the village and invite attacks from enemies. Itachi believed sacrificing the Uchiha clan was preferable to full-scale civil war. Was he right? Depends on your values. Do you prioritize individual lives or collective security? That's not an answer, because there isn't one clean answer. That's the point. Naruto's voice became sharp. This world is full of impossible choices where every option leads to suffering. Itachi chose the path that sacrificed his clan for the village. You would have chosen differently. Neither choice is objectively right or wrong, just different prioritizations of what matters. So you're saying I should just accept it? Forgive him? I'm saying you should understand it. Forgiveness is your choice, but understanding is necessary. Naruto stood, descending from his throne. Itachi isn't a monster or a hero. He's a person who made impossible choices in impossible circumstances. Hating him for those choices is your right, but hating him without understanding them is just blind rage. Sasuke was silent for a long moment. What would you have done? In his position? Me? Naruto's grin was sharp. I'd have killed the leadership that ordered the massacre, taken control of Konoha by force, and restructured the village to prevent future persecution. But I'm not Itachi. I don't believe in sacrificing myself for others' ideals. I believe in taking what I want and destroying anyone who tries to stop me. You're a monster. No, I'm honest about being a monster. There's a difference. Naruto gestured at Itachi. Your brother is a monster too. He just pretends to be righteous about it. The difference between us is that I acknowledge what I am. So what now? Sasuke asked. I came here for revenge, but everything I thought I knew is wrong. What am I supposed to do? That's for you to decide. But let me offer a third option beyond revenge or forgiveness. Naruto's expression became serious. Stay in Uzushiogakure. Learn from Itachi. Learn from me. Learn from everyone here. Figure out what you actually want beyond just killing your brother. And when you've decided what your real purpose is, then choose whether revenge matters. You want me to join your village? I want you to have time to think without Konoha's or Orochimaru's or anyone else's manipulation. Take a few months. Train, reflect, talk to Itachi. Then decide what you really want to do with your life. Naruto extended his hand. What do you say, Sasuke? Want to see what an Uchiha can become when he's not bound by Konoha's expectations? Sasuke stared at the offered hand for a long moment. Everything in his training said to refuse, to fight, to maintain his quest for revenge. But something in Naruto's words resonated. Maybe understanding did matter more than blind hatred. Maybe there was a third path beyond revenge and forgiveness. Maybe he could figure out what he actually wanted instead of just reacting to others' choices. He shook Naruto's hand. 3 months. I'll stay for 3 months. Then I decide. Fair enough. Naruto's grin widened. Welcome to Uzushiogakure, Sasuke Uchiha. Try not to brood too much. It's bad for morale. Over the following weeks, Sasuke integrated into Uzushigakure's community. He trained with Itachi, learning the truth behind techniques he thought were born of hatred. He spoke with Naruto, understanding perspectives outside Konoha's propaganda. He met with former Konoha shinobi who joined Uzushiogakure, hearing their stories of why they left. And slowly, the burning hatred that had defined him for years began to cool, replaced by something more complex. Understanding. He couldn't forgive Itachi. Not completely. But he could understand why his brother had made those choices. Could accept that Itachi had suffered as much as him, maybe more, carrying the weight of the massacre alone for years. One evening, 3 months to the day after his arrival, Sasuke found Naruto on the palace roof, watching the sunset. I've made my decision, Sasuke said. And I'm staying. Not permanently. I still have things to resolve in the outside world. But Uzushiogakure is different. Better than Konoha in some ways. He sat down beside Naruto. You were right. Understanding matters more than revenge. Glad you figured that out. Took me 8 years of suffering to learn the same lesson. Naruto's tone was casual. So what are you going to do now? Help build this place. Train. Get stronger. Not for revenge, but for protection. And eventually, Sasuke's Mangekyo Sharingan activated. Eventually, I'm going to confront Konoha's leadership about the massacre, not to destroy them, but to make sure it never happens again. Ambitious. I like it. Naruto stood, extending his hand again. Welcome to the family, Sasuke, for real this time. As Sasuke shook his hand, Naruto felt something shift. Not in power or ability, but in purpose. He wasn't just building a village anymore, he was building a community. People who understood suffering, who'd been broken by the world, who'd found a place where their strength was valued and their pain was acknowledged. This was what the Uzumaki clan had represented. Sanctuary for the lost, home for the broken, strength for the weak. And now, standing on his palace roof with former enemies becoming allies, Naruto understood what his true purpose was. Not conquest, not domination, not revenge, legacy. 6 months after Sasuke's arrival, Uzushogakure had grown into something remarkable. Population over 3,000, including shinobi, craftsmen, merchants, and scholars. The village had become a trading hub, connecting routes between major nations. The alliance with Suna had expanded to include Taki and several smaller villages. Even some great nations had established diplomatic relations. But more importantly, Uzushogakure had become known for something beyond just Naruto's power. It was a place where bloodline users were protected, where missing nin could find redemption, where the strong taught the weak instead of exploiting them. Naruto sat in his throne room, reviewing reports with Mei and his inner circle, Zabuza, Kimimaro, Itachi, Sasuke, Karin, and Nagato, who'd finally recovered enough to take an active role. We've achieved stable governance, Mei reported. Economic growth is steady, diplomatic relations are expanding, and our military capabilities rival some great nations. But we're still vulnerable to coordinated attack, Zabuza added. If 2 or 3 great nations decided to eliminate us, we'd struggle. Which is why we need to make ourselves indispensable, Naruto said. Not just strong, but necessary. Our sealing techniques, our training methods, our trading networks, they all need to become so embedded in the world's systems that destroying us damages everyone. Economic interdependence as a defense strategy, Nagato observed. Clever. It's the only sustainable approach. Military power alone isn't enough. It just makes you a target. But economic power makes you valuable, and people protect what they value. The discussion was interrupted by urgent knocking. A messenger entered, breathing hard. Naruto-sama, emergency! Akatsuki is making a final move. They're attacking Konoha to capture the Nine Tails. Everyone tensed. This was it, the moment they'd been preparing for. How many? Naruto asked calmly. All of them, every remaining Akatsuki member plus Obito leading them personally. They're using the chaos to launch an all-out assault on Konoha. Naruto stood, pink coat swirling dramatically. Then it's time to end this. Mei, mobilize our forces. Zabuza, Kimimaro, Sasuke, you're with me. Itachi, Nagato, you too. We're going to Konoha. You're helping them? Sasuke asked, surprised. After everything Konoha did to you? I'm not helping Konoha. I'm protecting my interests. Naruto's grin was sharp. If Akatsuki succeeds in capturing the Nine Tails, their plan moves forward. The infinite Tsukuyomi threatens everyone, including Uzushogakure. Better to stop them now on terms I choose, than wait for them to come for me with even more power. He moved to the window, strings already extending. Besides, this is the perfect opportunity to demonstrate Uzushogakure's strength to the entire world. When we save Konoha from Akatsuki, every nation will understand. We're not just another village. We're a force that shapes history. The journey to Konoha was swift. Naruto used his strings to create a sky bridge, essentially flying through the air by connecting threads between high points and pulling himself forward. His team followed on summons, and through body flicker techniques, they arrived to find Konoha already under siege. Akatsuki had launched a full-scale assault, Pain's 6 paths somehow restored, Obito leading with Kamui, Kasame with his massive chakra reserves, and several Edo Tensei warriors under Kabuto's control. The village was in chaos. Buildings destroyed, shinobi fighting desperately, civilians being evacuated. Tsunade stood at the forefront with her forces, but they were being overwhelmed. There! Naruto landed on the Hokage monument, his presence immediately drawing attention. Akatsuki, your fight is with me, not these people. If you want the Nine Tails, come and take it. Obito's masked face turned toward him. Naruto Uzumaki. How convenient. We were planning to come for you next. Saves us the trouble. Then let's settle this. Once and for all. Naruto spread his arms wide. Awakening Thread Dominion. The entire village began to transform. Buildings converting to strings, roads liquefying into threads, the very air shimmering with invisible filaments. Konoha's shinobi watched in awe as their village became Naruto's weapon. What is this? Tsunade gasped. This is my power, the ability to transform reality itself into strings under my command. Naruto's voice carried across the battlefield. Konoha, fall back. Let me handle this. Naruto's team spread out, engaging Akatsuki members in coordinated attacks. Sasuke faced Itachi's Edo Tensei counterpart, summoned by Kabuto, the two brothers finally fighting as equals. Zabuza and Kimimaro engaged Pain's paths, their combined abilities overwhelming the divided technique. Nagato used his Rinnegan knowledge to counter Kabuto's Edo Tensei control, disrupting the technique, but Naruto faced Obito directly, the two most powerful combatants meeting in a clash that shook reality itself. Kamui! Obito launched his signature attack, attempting to warp Naruto into another dimension, but Naruto's observation haki had been specifically trained to counter this. He sensed the space-time distortion before it manifested and dodged with impossible precision. I told you before, I can sense intent before action. Your Kamui is useless against me. He thrust both hands forward. 5 color strings. The razor-sharp threads shot toward Obito, but he phased through them effortlessly. And your strings can't touch me while I'm intangible. We're at a stalemate. Are we? Naruto's grin was manic. You forget, I have more than just strings. Black Knight, full army. 100 string clones materialized, surrounding Obito from every angle. They attacked in perfect coordination, using observation haki to predict his movements and time their strikes for the split second he needed to solidify. Obito phased through the first wave, the second, the third. But on the fourth wave, one Black Knight's attack came a fraction of a second faster than the others, striking the instant Obito solidified to counter. The haki-coated string punched through Obito's shoulder, drawing blood. He retreated immediately, clutching the wound. You actually hit me, he said, genuine surprise in his voice, because I've been studying you, learning your patterns. Your Kamui has a rhythm. You can't maintain intangibility forever. You need to solidify periodically to attack or reposition, and my observation haki can sense exactly when those moments occur. Naruto's expression became deadly serious. You're not invincible, Obito. You're just fast, and I'm faster. He thrust his hands into the transformed ground, awakening God Thread Paradigm. The entire battlefield underwent complete transformation. Not just surface conversion, but fundamental reality restructuring. Within the affected area, strings became the basic building blocks of existence itself. In this space, I don't just control strings, Naruto announced. I control reality. Matter, energy, space, all of it responds to my will. Your Kamui manipulates space-time, but what happens when the space itself is made of strings I control? Obito tried to activate Kamui, but the technique sputtered. The space-time distortion tried to form, but the strings that made up reality resisted, disrupted by Naruto's will. Impossible! Obito's Sharingan spun frantically. You can't just negate space-time manipulation. Watch me. In God Thread Paradigm, I make the rules. Naruto clenched his fists, and strings erupted from every direction. Ground, sky, air itself, all converging on Obito. With Kamui disrupted, Obito had no choice but to fight conventionally. He used wood release, fire release, even manifested a partial Susanoo. But everything he tried was converted to strings the moment it entered Naruto's domain. You're fighting reality itself, Obito, and reality obeys me. The strings wrapped around Obito completely, binding him from every angle. He struggled, but there was nowhere to phase to, no escape route that didn't lead through Naruto's controlled space. Yield, Naruto commanded, or I'll crush you and end this. For a moment, Obito considered continuing to fight, but his Sharingan showed him the truth. Within this space, Naruto was genuinely unstoppable. The God Thread Paradigm had turned the battlefield into a domain where normal rules didn't apply. You win, Obito said quietly. I yield. Around them, the other Akatsuki members had been similarly defeated. Pain's bodies lay broken. Kabuto had fled by. The Edo Tensei warriors were sealed. The assault on Konoha had failed completely. Naruto released God Thread Paradigm and reality snapped back to normal. Obito collapsed, exhausted and defeated. Take him. Naruto ordered his team. Seal his chakra and bind him. He's coming back to Uzushiogakure as a prisoner. Tsunade approached cautiously. Naruto, you saved us. I saved myself. You were just in the way. But his tone lacked the usual venom. Akatsuki threatened my interests. I eliminated them. Simple as that. Still, thank you. Naruto studied her for a moment. Don't thank me. Thank the fact that I'm pragmatic enough to recognize that a destroyed Konoha destabilizes the entire world, which affects Uzushiogakure. This was pure self-interest. He turned to leave, his team following. But at the village gate, he paused and looked back. Tsunade, one more thing. Yes? The next time someone like Danzo tries to make a Jinchuriki into a weapon, remember what happened here today. Remember that we're people, not tools. Remember that treating us as weapons creates enemies like me. His voice was deadly serious. I saved you this time, but if Konoha ever threatens Uzushiogakure or its people, I will not hesitate to destroy you completely. Understood? Understood? Tsunade said quietly. Naruto nodded and left, his team carrying the captured Obito and several other Akatsuki prisoners. Behind them, Konoha's shinobi stared in awe and fear. The heavenly demon had saved them. But the message was clear. He was no longer Konoha's weapon. He was his own force, answering to no one but himself, and that was more terrifying than any enemy. 2 weeks after the Akatsuki defeat, the Five Kage Summit convened again. This time, the topic was unavoidable: Naruto Uzumaki and Ushiogakure's role in the shinobi world. He saved Konoha, Tsunade argued. Defeated Akatsuki single-handedly and prevented a catastrophe. We owe him recognition and respect. He's also a threat, I countered. His power is beyond anything we've seen. One person shouldn't have that much influence. And yet he does, Gaara said calmly. The question isn't whether we like it, but how we respond to it. Do we make him an ally or an enemy? He's already made himself an ally to those who respect him, Mei added. Kiri has been negotiating trade agreements with Uzushiogakure. They're fair, beneficial, and strengthen both villages. So we just accept that a 14-year-old has reshaped the political landscape? Onoki's tone was skeptical. We accept reality, Gaara said. Naruto Uzumaki is powerful, intelligent, and has built something that won't be easily destroyed. Fighting him costs more than cooperating with him. That's just pragmatic calculation. The debate continued for hours, but eventually a consensus emerged. Uzushiogakure would receive full recognition as a great village, equal in status to the 5 great nations. Naruto Uzumaki would be acknowledged as the Uzumaki Kage, leader of the newly formed 6th great nation. It was unprecedented. It was controversial, but it was necessary. When Naruto received the official recognition, he stood in his throne room with his inner circle, holding the formal document. We did it, Mei said softly. Full recognition, equal status with the great nations, everything you wanted. Not everything, Naruto corrected. This is just the beginning. Recognition is one thing, lasting legacy is another, but it's a good start. He looked around at his people. Mei, Zabuza, Kimimaro, Itachi, Sasuke, Karin, Nagato, and dozens of others who'd found purpose in Uzushiogakure. We've built something remarkable here, he said. A village where strength is respected but not worshipped, where power is used to protect rather than oppress, where the broken can heal and the lost can find purpose. This is what the Uzumaki clan represented. This is what we've restored. So what's next? Sasuke asked. Next, we make it permanent. We establish systems that will outlast us, create institutions that will survive generations, build a legacy that will last forever. Naruto's grin was confident. The heavenly demon has claimed his throne. Now let's make sure no one can ever topple it. 1 year later, Uzushiogakure had become everything Naruto had envisioned and more. Population over 5,000. Thriving economy based on sealing techniques and unique training methods. Diplomatic relations with every major nation and most minor ones. Cultural influence that spread across the continent. But more importantly, it had become a symbol. Proof that villages could be built on different principles, that power could be used responsibly, that the strong could protect the weak without exploiting them. Naruto stood on his palace roof, now 18 years old, watching the sun set over his kingdom. The boy who'd been broken 8 years ago in Konoha's archives was gone, replaced by a man who built an empire from nothing. Thinking about the past, Kurama's voice was gentle now. their relationship having evolved into genuine partnership over the years. Thinking about the future, what this place will become after I'm gone. You've set up good systems, the council you established, the training programs, the economic networks. They'll last. I hope so. Because that's what matters, isn't it? Not personal power, but lasting impact. Not individual strength, but collective legacy. He thought about his mother, about the Uzumaki clan, about everything that had led to this moment. They'd been destroyed because they were strong but isolated, powerful but politically vulnerable. Uzushiogakure wouldn't make that mistake. It was strong and connected, powerful and valuable, isolated by choice rather than circumstance. Naruto-sama, Karen called from below. The delegation from Konoha has arrived. They're requesting an audience. Send them up, he called back. To his surprise, it was Tsunade herself, accompanied by Kakashi and Shikamaru. They looked different from the last time he'd seen them, older, warier, but somehow more content. Tsunade, Naruto greeted. To what do I owe the honor? I'm retiring as Hokage, she said bluntly. Kakashi is taking over, and I wanted to speak to you personally before I step down. About what? About everything. About what Konoha did to you. About the lies, the manipulation, the failure to protect you. Her voice was heavy with regret. I can't change the past, but I wanted you to know I understand why you left, why you built this place, and I don't blame you for it. Naruto was silent for a moment. Is this an apology? It's an acknowledgement. An apology requires asking for forgiveness, and I have no right to ask that. I just wanted you to know that I understand. Well, Naruto's grin was sharp, but somehow less mocking than before. That's progress, I suppose. Thank you for the honesty. There's something else, Kakashi said. We want to propose a formal alliance between Konoha and Uzushiogakure. Not as master and vassal, but as equals. Shared defense, trade agreements, cultural exchange, everything that benefits both villages. After everything that happened, you trust me that much? We respect you that much, Kakashi corrected. You've proven yourself as a leader, a warrior, and a builder. Konoha would be honored to call Uzushiogakure an ally. Naruto considered carefully. An alliance with Konoha would legitimize Uzushiogakure even further, provide economic and political benefits, and send a message to the world that old grudges could be overcome. I'll agree to an alliance, he said finally. But on one condition. Konoha acknowledges publicly that the treatment of Jinchuriki as weapons was wrong, and commits to treating them as people going forward. Make that official policy, and we have a deal. Tsunade and Kakashi exchanged glances. It was a bold demand, effectively asking Konoha to admit fault and change fundamental policies, but it was also reasonable and necessary. Done, Kakashi agreed. I'll make it one of my first acts as Hokage. Jinchuriki are people, not weapons. That will be official Konoha policy. Naruto extended his hand. Then we have an alliance. Welcome to the partnership, Kakashi. As they shook hands, something clicked into place. The circle was complete. From weapon to warrior to ruler to ally, Naruto had transformed completely, and in doing so had transformed the world around him. That evening, Naruto gathered his inner circle for a celebration. Wine flowed, stories were shared, laughter echoed through the palace. To Uzushiogakure! Zabuza raised his cup, and to the mad genius who built it. To the heavenly demon, Kimimaro added, may his throne stand eternal. To family, Karen said softly, the one we chose, not the one we lost. Naruto raised his own cup, looking around at the people who become more than just allies. They become his actual family. To all of you, every single person who believed in this crazy dream and helped make it real, this is your achievement as much as mine. Later, alone on his balcony, Naruto spoke to the memory of his mother. I hope you're proud, Kasan. I know my methods weren't always righteous, and my path wasn't always noble, but I built something lasting, something that honors the Uzumaki name, something that will protect people like us, the broken, the lost, the turned into weapons. The wind seemed to carry a response, warm and gentle. I'll take that as approval, he said with a small smile. Kurama stirred within the seal. She would be proud, Kit, not of everything you did, but of what you built. That matters more. You think so? I know so. I knew Kushina. She valued strength, but she valued protection more, and you've created a place where the strong protect the weak. That's her legacy, continued through you. Naruto stood silently for a moment, then smiled. Then I've succeeded. not just in building a village, but in honoring what came before while creating something new. 10 years later, Uzushiogakure had become one of the most influential villages in the world. Naruto, now 28, had mellowed slightly, still ruthless when necessary, still overwhelmingly powerful, but with a wisdom that came from experience. His theatrical tendencies remained, but they were tempered by genuine leadership and strategic thinking. Sasuke had become his right hand, managing diplomatic relations with a surprisingly deft touch. Itachi, miraculously stabilized through advanced medical techniques combining Tsunade's expertise and Uzumaki's sealing, served as head of intelligence. Mei commanded the military forces. Nagato led the research division, pushing sealing techniques to new heights. The village had expanded to a small nation, encompassing multiple islands with a population exceeding 20,000. It was a true power, economically and militarily, capable of standing against any threat. But more importantly, it had become a symbol of hope, proof that different approaches could work, that power didn't have to corrupt, that the strong could build rather than destroy. Naruto stood in the rebuilt Uzumaki clan shrine, looking at the names inscribed on the memorial wall. Every member of the clan who died in the original destruction was listed here, their memories preserved. "We did it," he said to the empty shrine. "We brought the Uzumaki back. Not just the name, but the spirit. The idea that strength serves purpose, that power protects people, that isolation breeds destruction while connection builds strength." He placed a hand on the memorial wall. "Rest easy, ancestors. Your legacy lives on, and it will continue long after I'm gone." Outside, Uzushiogakure bustled with life. Children played in streets that had once been ruins. Merchants haggled in markets built from salvaged materials. Shinobi trained in academies that taught both traditional techniques and Naruto's unique abilities. It was vibrant, alive, growing. It was everything the original Uzushiogakure had been and more. It was home. Naruto emerged from the shrine to find Karen waiting. "The council is ready for your speech," she said. "They're all waiting." "Let them wait a bit longer. I want to get this right." He'd been preparing this speech for weeks, the official announcement of Uzushiogakura's next phase of development. Expansion of the academy to accept students from across the continent. Creation of a research institute dedicated to developing techniques that would benefit all nations. Establishment of a peacekeeping force that could respond to global threats. It was ambitious. Some would call it overreach. But Naruto had learned that ambitious visions were the only ones worth pursuing. "Ready?" Karen asked. "Ready," Naruto confirmed. He walked to the council chamber, pink coat billowing, some things never changed, and addressed the assembled leaders of Uzushiogakure and allied villages. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice carrying the theatrical flair he'd never fully abandoned. 10 years ago, I stood on the ruins of a destroyed village and made a promise that the Uzumaki clan would rise again, that our legacy would be more than just history, that strength would serve purpose rather than ego. He gestured at the room. "Look at what we've built, not just buildings or armies, but a community, a place where the broken can heal, where the strong protect the weak, where power serves people rather than oppressing them. But we can't stop here, because the world still has darkness, still has suffering, still has forces that prey on the vulnerable, and we have the power to do something about it." He outlined his vision. The expanded academy that would train shinobi from any village who wanted to learn Uzushiogakura's methods. The research institute that would develop techniques benefiting everyone, not hoarded for competitive advantage. The peacekeeping force that could respond to threats like Atsuki before they became existential crises. "Some will call this naive," he acknowledged. "They'll say we're inviting attack, making ourselves vulnerable, giving away our advantages. And maybe they're right. Maybe this will fail." His grin was sharp, confident, absolutely certain. "But I didn't build Uzushiogakure by playing it safe. I built it by taking risks, by challenging assumptions, by proving that different approaches could work. And this is the next challenge, proving that strength can be used to uplift rather than oppress. The heavenly demon has claimed his throne. Now let's use that power to reshape the world." The council erupted in discussion, some supportive, others skeptical, all engaged. It was exactly what Naruto wanted: debate, consideration, genuine engagement with ideas rather than blind obedience. After the meeting, Sasuke found him on the palace roof, their traditional spot for serious conversations. "That was quite a speech," Sasuke observed. "You think it's too ambitious? I think it's perfectly you. Grandiose, theatrical, and somehow actually achievable because you're insane enough to make it work." Sasuke smiled slightly. "But I support it. The world needs more places like this. Even after everything you've seen, everything we've done, especially after everything I've seen. Because I've watched you build something from nothing, turn enemies into allies, create order from chaos. If anyone can reshape the world through strength rather than destruction, it's you." Naruto was silent for a moment, then laughed. Genuine, warm, not his theatrical foo-foo-foo-foo, but real amusement. "You know what the ironic thing is? I started this journey thinking I'd prove that might makes right, that power is everything, that the throne is all that matters. And I still believe that, but the throne isn't what I thought it was." "What do you mean?" "The throne isn't a position or a title. It's responsibility. It's the weight of people depending on you, trusting you, believing in your vision. The true throne isn't something you take. It's something you earn by using power to serve rather than oppress." He looked out at his village, at the lights beginning to glow as evening fell. "I claimed my throne through strength, but I've kept it through purpose. And that's the legacy I want to leave. Not the heavenly demon who conquered, but the leader who built something worth keeping." Sasuke nodded slowly. "Then let's make sure it lasts, for everyone who comes after us." Agreed. They stood together in comfortable silence, two former enemies who become brothers, watching over a village built from ruins and hope and absolutely insane amounts of string. Somewhere in the seal, Kurama smiled. The kid had come a long way from the broken boy who discovered his abilities in Konoha's archives. He'd become something more, not just powerful, but purposeful, not just strong, but wise. The heavenly demon had truly claimed his throne, and the world was better for it. 20 years after that evening, Uzushiogakure stood as one of the world's premier nations. The academy trained thousands of shinobi from across the continent. The Research Institute had revolutionized sealing techniques, making them accessible to villages that could never afford them before. The peacekeeping force had prevented 3 potential wars through early intervention. Naruto, now 48, had officially stepped down as Uzumaki Kage, passing leadership to a council that included Sasuke, Karin, and several others he trained personally. But he remained active as an advisor and, when necessary, the ultimate weapon. His abilities had only grown over the decades. The combination of string manipulation, haki, nine-tails chakra, and awakened powers made him arguably the strongest shinobi to ever live. But he used that power sparingly now, preferring to build rather than destroy. He stood in the Uzumaki clan shrine, now surrounded by new names, not of the dead, but of the living. Every person who joined the clan over the years, every child born in Uzushiogakure, every life that contributed to the legacy. "We did it, Kasan," he said softly. "We didn't just restore the Uzumaki clan, we made it better, stronger, more than it ever was before." The wind carried warmth through the shrine, and Naruto took it as approval. Outside, his grandson was training with strings, learning the techniques that had built an empire. The next generation carrying forward the legacy. "Fu-fu-fu!" Naruto laughed quietly, the sound echoing in the empty shrine. "The heavenly demon's work is done. Now it's their turn to shape the world." He walked out into the sunlight, leaving the shrine behind. There was still work to do, battles to fight, challenges to overcome. But for the first time in decades, Naruto felt at peace. The throne was secure. The legacy was established. The future was bright. And most importantly, he'd proven what he'd set out to prove all those years ago. That power, when used with purpose, could reshape the world. Not through conquest or destruction, but through building something worth protecting. The heavenly demon had claimed his throne. And from that throne, he'd built heaven on earth. The end.
The threads of this reality have been woven, but countless other destinies await. What other legends will be reborn? Thank you for watching. To witness more timelines twisted and fates rewritten, be sure to pull the strings on that subscribe button and join the family for more.